Thor armies. He looks unstoppable. And here he is, up here in the top right-hand side of Oxide. In the blue, the Terran player representing Envy. It's Maru.
And in the bottom left here, represented by Clash, Red Bull, and also all the fans of the non-Koreans out there, this is Reynor.
Confident, smiley, and often rapping in his booth before his games to get G'd up. We've all been glued to his webcam, just loving the fact that we get to see so much and hear so much from one of our most, I think, bubbly characters out there in the scene. One of the guys who, even when he loses, seems to be able to just shake it off with a smile and a grin every single time. It doesn't feel like he ever gets into that dark mental space that some players do.
You know, I really loved that period of, you know, Heart of the Swarm and also Wings of Liberty. But like we had our Stefano character that was just so charismatic, so wonderful for the non-Korean scene. A guy that could smack talk but also have the skills to back it up. And I'm like, where is that guy? Oh, I miss him, you know. Of course, Stefano kept playing but never managed to reach that level again. And then, of course, the things he's studying, working full-time, that sort of thing. But Reynor definitely filling his shoes and then some these days with an absolutely world-class level of Zerg play. He is absolutely championship material, make no mistake, and definitely cocky, but with the skills to back it up, and I love that about him.
Did have a few near misses in the previous rounds, did Reynor, and he was the first one to admit it. In his Protoss vs Zerg matches, he kind of barely squeaked through with some timing attacks. Yesterday, he looked like he was poised to finish once again. Clean timing attacks, countering a Dark that was trying to get up to Mutas, but he almost let that last game slip through his fingers from a giant lead. And it's these little bits of shakiness against Zerg, against Protoss, that Reynor's going to need to throw off. He needs to really say, hey, this is a different matchup. This is my matchup. Because Maru's not going to give him any freebies. Maru, I mean, we all know the comeback he made back in the group stage against Solar with that just absolutely death-defying nuke that somehow brought Maru back into that series. But he's made other comebacks as well, many throughout this tournament. He's really showed that comeback quality. Reynor's not going to, he's not going to get away with anything. You really need both players to be on their A game. Nothing is going to be forgiven in this match.
Absolutely, yeah. There's going to be very little room for mistake at this level. As soon as you get to the top 4 of something like the World Finals of StarCraft 2, none of these players are going to let you get away with anything. In fact, Reynor going to make sure that Maru doesn't sneak anything cheeky on him here. Going to go put 200 gas early game here into not just metabolic boost for the Wings, but also pneumatized carapace to make sure that those Overlords are speedy and flyboys so they can get through the main base of the Terran and have a good gander at what's going on.
Interesting opening so far. No Hellion production from Maru, only Marines out of that reacted barracks. And I believe he's going to be going into Banshees by the looks of it. So it's just a Marine into Cloaked Banshee opening. Now, that is the lightest of pressures. This is Maru saying, look, I don't want to overcommit to attacking onto your side of the map. I am just going to do this Cloaked Banshee harass. He's building a Hellion or two. I mean, okay, there is a weird attack that can come off this, but for now, the Overlord Scout comes in, spots the Cloak.
Yeah, seeing the Tech Lab spinning there, a big deal. And that is a real cloak, of course. Maru not faking any upgrades here. Losing the Overlord stings a little bit. Of course, Reynor still has presence of an Overlord at the left of the natural there, just to the west of it. And back at home, everything very normal, very hunky-dory for here for Reynor. Getting his Spore Crawler timing up, and also just getting the Queen count and drone count looking extremely healthy here for the Zerg at the beginning of the game. And you're right, like there's no early medevac here, no Hellion count at all, which really means that Maru's only presence across the map is going to be these Banshees. So Reynor really feels like he's got a lot of room to breathe here at the beginning of the game.
I'm going to be a little critical. Reynor has rushed into Spore Crawlers about 40 seconds before he needed them, honestly. Cloak is miles away. The first Banshee's miles away. Reynor's Spore up in the main was up so early in this game. The one in the third base is finishing at a little bit more of a, an optimal timing. He's going fast layer Baneling there, so Reynor wants to just get a quick Baneling speed. We're not seeing him really hold down that economy key too hard, and oh my, Maynard. There's an armory on the way right now. Are we going to see a Marine Hellbat Banshee attack?
I think we might, Pig. This is a weird way of getting about it. I mean, Hellbat Banshee is something that we've seen time and time again, but this is an interesting path to get to this destination. We'll see how well it works out for him. Obviously, with the reacted factory, plenty of Hellions going to be here for Maru. At least 6 to 8 Hellions during this attack when that armory is up and running. And the Marines have been getting amassed out of that reacted barracks at the front, don't forget. So they are going to be joining in as well. Stim is a ways off, so I don't know if this will hit with Stim if Maru wants to hit as quickly as possible with that armory. But yeah, my goodness, this is going to be pretty powerful still.
That's a lot of Marines. They don't have stim or anything like that, so Banelings are going to be the key. Reynor's going to make a lot of Banelings, though, and he's very short on gas right now. 5 of them in the way. He's completely out of gas. Reynor's tapping that Baneling key as he gets the money. He's got the Spore Crawler out front, a few Queens, a few Banelings are finishing. He's got to try and get those into the middle of the Hellbats.
Ooh, that's not too bad. Those Banelings hit those Hellbats real good, and now the Lings are nibbling on the backsides of those Marines as they go to the edge of the creep. Banshee is just now showing up, obviously with the lair done, has mobile detection. The Queen's able to bat back the Banshees as well. Looks like a good start to the defense of Reynor, and even these Banshees flying over a couple Queens spreading creep out the front of where Reynor's taking his 4th hatchery. A good defense for the Italian Stallion.
Maru's going to have to wake up. This is a sloppy start to him, not spreading those Hellbats out adequately. I thought he'd come forward with the Banshees leading the charge to try and focus the Banelings down, pull the Hellbats to do a bit of a spread and let the Marines and the Banshees kind of focus them down and then maybe do some damage. As it is, Banshees have done nothing. He's lost his Hellbats. Don't get me wrong, Maru has a good economy. He hasn't lost his Banshees yet. He's still got them as a tool, but definitely not the slowdown that you'd like against a Zerg player, because now Reynor has the freedom to spread creep and drone up his 4th base.
And Maru is going into tanks here, so it looks like we're going to go for a bio tank follow-up. Obviously, tanks do have efficacy against the Ling Bane. They have splash damage with really good target fire and really good positioning. They can be very effective. There are some nice spots here on Oxide. Oh, the Banshee's coming in and getting some drones. 4 going down, pretty high in hit points. They got repaired earlier as well. They're doing a bit of a flyby here, nailing a Queen also as well. But just most importantly, keeping them alive and keeping them a constant threat that Reynor has to worry about. But yeah, so without Widowmines here, the army of Maru isn't super countering the Ling Bane force here of Reynor. But, of course, we've seen it done before, so let's see how Maru executes here as he starts to clean up the creep in front of that 4th base.
Yeah, I almost feel like as Maru, you know Reynor is the best lurker player in the world. You want to get a head start on that siege tank count. Obviously, it means your early pushes aren't going to be as powerful as they would be with Widow Mines. It's hard to kind of sustain that aggression, but it means you can build up to a much bigger one later. Why do we have 2 tanks in the production tab? Is the factory blocked or contaminated? What is going on with the factory of Maru? Contamination. Wow, very nice by Reynor.
Ooh. Oh my god, Banelings just all detonated at once there, but it actually didn't kill that many Marines, if I'm not mistaken, and the tank is still alive as well.
That was a manual detonate on like 14 Banes. I think he meant to box a few of them and set them off, but ooh, a little mistake there from Reynor. A few extra Banelings going down than needed. That being said, the creep is getting out there, the control, and this is so important. Oxide, it's got so many ledges and areas where tanks can set up in deadly positions later on in the game. So the fact that Reynor's already got his map control pushing to the center, if he can get up on Maru's high ground as well with the creep, that's going to be really bad for the Terran. And that's why Maru's pushing in on the creep now. Doesn't want to give Reynor any more map control.
And Reynor seems to actually be... He hasn't got the Hydra Den just yet, and he's getting his melee upgrades and going straight for the Infestation Pit, so it looks like he's playing that swarmy Massling Bane up into Hive, getting to Ultras eventually style. Of course, you know, it can get the Hydra Den and go into Lurker Den eventually, but just straight Ling Bane and Queen as far as his army's concerned for now. And it is kind of looking like that mass melee build at the moment.
Absolutely, Maynard. I think it's a great way to play against someone who just keeps building siege tanks. The more Ling Bane you have, you're going to be able to deal with it really well. You know, Hydras can look amazing, Lurkers can look amazing, and Reynor's one of the best at them. But if your opponent's already well prepared with a good siege tank count, they've kind of got a bit of momentum, it can be tough. So that Hydra Den does now go down in line with the Hive, so he will still open up the Lurk attack. But he's not rushing towards it for now. It's all about the Ling Bane. The bio drops Maru looking for the low-risk forms of aggression. He doesn't want to actually commit any siege tanks or things that he can't pick up. This is just little hit-and-run harassment tactics.
Could cancel in the bottom right there. Actually, that might have been a kill on that hatchery. Yes, it was. He did get the kill on the hatchery. So a few hundred minerals down the toilet there for Reynor. And he keeps all the Marines, bar 1 there alive, 1 or 2. 16 Marines threatening potentially the 9 o'clock base, but also the main here. So Reynor has to respect this double medevac until he has a way to actually get up into that dead space, which, you know, no Spire, no way to do that for now. And yeah, he is going to be heading towards Lurk attack. But Maru, he's actually going up to a 3rd factory here, Pig, and they all have tech labs. So we're going to be seeing a ton of tank production here shortly.
That's what I like to see from Terran up against Lurkers. Good little bio trades here and there, but remember that Reynor, I think he's not too uncomfortable at this stage. He did tweet out just before the tournament went live. He said, yesterday I was practicing to warm up for this 1v4 versus the boys in Archon mode. So he said, you know what? I'm going to be ready for Maru's multi-prong his harassment. I've been practicing versus 4 players controlling one guy. And you know what? So far, Maru hasn't really done crazy multitasking. It's just little pinpricks.
Yeah.
I think as Maru's army comes through the middle, that's really where we're going to see the big clash that matters.
Yeah, and that's also when potentially the drops start to hit as well. He's still got a medevac with Marines, plenty of Marines on the right side. He's got them obviously between 9 o'clock in the main base and the double medevac drop as well. And with 2-2 and +1 attack finishing, I think it's time to start getting those tanks out there, Pig, through the middle of the map, straight up the guts. Speaking of which, in comes some Banelings and Lings here from Reynor, looking for a big connection on the bio. Doesn't quite find it though, and doesn't want to super overextend either, so he pulls back to the edge of the creep spread.
Yeah, well, you know, I thought the push would have come by now, Maynard, but you know what? He's never planning to push. Maru's game plan here is to play the end game. Maru is saying, you know what? I think you're really good in the mid game. You're good in the late mid game. But if I take this to the end game, I just take a billion command centers, get into ghosts, lots of tanks covering me, add some Vikings to deal with your Vipers. I know I can beat you with ghosts, and fingers crossed we see 6 or 7 Ghost Academies and mass nukes as well. Right now, though, a drop doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, not quite enough Lings there. The Marines got dropped right on top of those Lings one at a time and managed to actually clean up the initial force there in the main base. Reinforcements Reynor will eventually clean this up, but it was a sort of a single file Ling attack there until they eventually swarmed the Marines and took them down. So not super efficient there for Reynor. And Maru, of course, still threatening with medevacs. 3-3 upgrades are on the way out. You're absolutely right, Pig. Maru's slowing this game way down. He has no intention of going anywhere except with dropships.
It's a good way to play this map as well because there's limited bases. You can see this is not a comfortable position for Reynor. He's like, dude, when are you pushing? Zerg vs Terran is all about defending your pushes. Why aren't you pushing on the front? And Maru's just sitting there. He's like, dude, I'm mentally prepared for this game. You aren't.
And he gets the hatchery and saves a ton of Marines as well. I think he only lost a couple, so beautiful play there from Maru, getting another great hatchery pickoff. Playing super efficiently here against Reynor so far. Definitely got the better end of the trades. Reynor's had enough. He wants to try and attack here, but maybe rethinking it, reconsidering his option there. A little bit of indecisiveness from Reynor, losing a few units for free, but at least they're the cheap ones.
Don't underestimate how much this can throw you off. If you're in Reynor's shoes, you don't practice this sort of game ever. Like, yeah, sure, you might get to this stage, but it's after 10 minutes of back and forth. It's not meant to happen just yet. Oh, Lurker drop plus double Nidus. The Lurker's going to try and defend those Nidus worms potentially, but no, they actually burrow a little further back. Adapter Talon's not quite done. Reynor's going to push the right side at the same moment. The Niduses, they're not going to get up.
The Niduses have been denied here, and the 2 Lurkers picked off in the main base as well. Reynor went straight up the middle of the map there with the bulk of his forces, but didn't manage to find an angle there on Maru. He's dropping the Spire. Reynor throwing everything at the wall, but nothing really sticking at the moment. Oh man, this Terran is covered in Teflon, Pig. They just can't make anything stick here.
How often do you see 3 planetaries in the production tab at a time? Maru is entrenching the entire map right now. Tanks, ghosts, planetaries going up. Reynor realizes he's got to do something. He's got to do it soon. If he wants to put a dent in Maru, he's got to go. And those Banelings, they are going to take out that command center.
Yeah, the planetary picked off there. Reynor hitting the economy, obviously not for free. A lot of Banelings died. 12 SCVs died as well. In the main base, in come the Lurkers. Looks like Maru also hitting the drone line on the south side of the map as well. Action absolutely everywhere. Maru bringing everything into the main here, it seems like, to try and get rid of the Lurkers and the Nice Worms. Lurker gets a few good shots off. I think he kind of picked off a ghost there on the way through.
Yeah, the Lurkers causing a bit of havoc. 16 workers do fall. Another Nidus in the natural as well is Reynor. I think he's all loaded up in the Nidus Worms because I don't see any army streaming across the map right now.
Yeah, but the Nidus Worms don't have the white bar on them, so at least those 2 Nidus Worm entrance points, I have to filter myself here, are just completely empty at the moment. Vipers now here for Reynor. 107 drones, by the way. This kid is rocking a serious economy. An incredible income advantage here for Reynor. But again, without killing the Terran, if the Terran maxes out, get those 3-3 upgrades and a good number of ghosts up, you haven't won this game. I mean, an extra 30 drones doesn't make your army win the fight.
Not at all, Maynard. And, he's going to take out those SCVs. That planetary could fall if he focuses it. Blinding Cloud will run out after a little bit. The Hydra's taking out a couple of these siege tanks. Remember, the Hydras only have +1 attack, and the Ghosts slaughter them.
Oh, the planetary is so low, and it just gets picked off. Of course, Maru has a high hit point command center he can finish off. Maru also picking off that top left hatchery, which was very cheeky of Reynor, just running out of places on the map to expand to because he's completely covered this map in creep and hatcheries. And Maru getting rid of that nice worm, easy peasy there. +3 attack starting on that armory for the tanks that he does have. And the tank count of Maru is still pretty convincing, I gotta say. A good tank count at the moment. Marauders being prioritized over Marines at the moment as well, so he has a very strong armored front line. And, I mean, it really feels like Maru needs to make something happen. He's been maxed for a hot minute.
Right now, Reynor is just sitting on the much bigger worker count. He's had a bigger bank, but there's no way he's being cost efficient. If we keep an eye on the units lost tab, we can actually see that if they both mine out half the map, Reynor is going to run dry so much quicker. Maru has been 2.5 times the efficiency of Reynor. Reynor's still trying to just bash his head in, and Maru's defense is just too good.
That's a tiny little choke point there for the Lings and Banes, but they do burst through and finally start to flow into the Terran. Cloak on the Ghost and a split as well from Maru and his high hit point bio units to tank the Banes as efficiently as possible, and a few of them do die. Looks like the 12 o'clock Planetary once again under threat. Does he? Oh man, he's trying for the mass repair. The Banelings and Hydra is picking off the SCVs though, and the Planetary does not stand. It goes down. Maru does have a drop on the other side of the map though. 4 medevacs, a bunch of Marines and Marauders with 3-3, clearing through the creep, trying to get into the infrastructure of the Zerg. That hatchery is definitely going down. Easy pick off there for Maru.
Wow, Maru striking back. Reynor just can't hang on to this bottom right. 92 workers sounds good, but if you can't mine with those 92 workers, what's it even worth? Reynor not only has been grossly cost inefficient, but he hasn't been able to mine from bottom right or the top left base. Maru is actually just doing so much better in the efficiency. As long as Reynor doesn't manage to escalate the pace of this game, as long as he doesn't manage to speed things up, as long as Maru keeps the pace slow, Maru is far ahead and he's well on his way to a victory in the first map.
Yeah, a lot of the things that you look at this point are what is the army complexity looking like, what is the bank looking like, and is there a big army supply advantage for the Terran? All of those things look like really good for Maru at the moment. He's got that army supply advantage. His army is very complex. 11 ghosts, 9 tanks, a ton of firepower in this army as well. Keep in mind his tanks are on the way to +3 attack. And also, you know, he's got more than enough mining bases to continue to remake, and that bank of the Zerg, not super convincing. Reynor's been making a lot of attacks happen in this game, but he's been losing units, losing army when he does it. And they haven't all been like, you know, the very cheap Ling Bane. It's been mass Ling Bane with Hydras, with Lurkers, and Orthalisks as well. So it's been a very, very, very inefficient game for Reynor so far.
Thinking about Reynor's options here, he can slow things down a lot. We saw Solar take down Maru in the late game with Broodlord Corruptor, Infestor Viper usage. He did that very well, excellently. Well, I say take him down. I mean, put himself in a winning position. I guess I should clarify since Maru ended up winning that game. But, oh, Snipe is a pretty good ability. Blinding Cloud does not stop Snipe. That was just a massively awesome trade for Maru once again. And the thing is, Reynor needs to be sneaky. He needs to come in from surprising angles, abduct a few tanks, get him pull out. He can't be just showing his armies into the sensor towers and then just hanging around, because Maru's ghosts are always going to move to respond. They're going to get the snipes, and honestly, it feels like Reynor is hitting a bit of a dead end. He feels a little bit stuck right now.
Oh man, a lot of drones here on the bottom right as well. You know, Reynor's trying to even expand on the Terran side of the map. Maru, of course, never letting it happen. Reynor gears up for a big attack here at the Planetary. The Lurker's kind of separated from the pack. They're going to get target fired down by the Marines and Marauders as they pull back to defenses. Some Blinding Clouds going down from the Vipers as well. They don't have a ton of energy either on those Vipers now after those Blinding Clouds. So all Maru needs to do is just chill. I don't know how Reynor pushes into this again.
Well, you can't even hang out there because the ghosts, whenever you hang out near their defenses like that, the ghosts can just walk forward and snipe them. So these little attacks I really dislike. I think if he comes in, abducts all the Vikings, kills them, runs away, that's good. Lands some chain fungals on the Vikings, runs away, that's good. But otherwise, just kind of chipping at the edges, what he's really doing is he's bashing his own head into the wall of Maru just to chip the paint off a Planetary here or there. Like, it's not actually killing anything while he's losing so many resources.
Well, Reynor's head is indeed made out of unobtainium, so he could crash through a brick wall once or twice. I've seen him do it. He's had so many of these games where he's been 100+ drones, losing tons of drones, going down to 80, up to 100 again, playing extremely inefficiently, losing tens of thousands more resources than his Terran opponent, but still winning the game. So let's not count him out yet. Reynor, of course, though, do have to say, definitely against the ropes here. 3 more Lurkers about to go down to these ghosts. There's 3 of these to evacuate. Oh, yeah, I mean, these things are dead with 1 more scan there from Maru. And there we go, a pick off on those 3 Lurkers. And these things aren't cheap. Reynor is starting to get a bit more of a bank up, though. Gets a Parasitic Bomb on one of those medevacs. Going to hit the other 2. Unloads here from Maru in a split as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of that patient play from Reynor. Dropping Parasitic Bombs on the medevacs is always going to give you guaranteed damage. The abduct was good, but you've got to unsiege and run your lurkers away after that. I don't think he can hold on to this position.
No overseers with this army as well, as they just come now. A couple lurkers do have their fate sealed by the snipes there of the ghosts. Tanks also getting some splash damage there on those lanes as they keep getting funneled into these man-made choke points that Maru's created for himself defensively here. Hatchery again trying for the top sort of like 11 o'clock position. Maru denying it for what feels like the 6th time. Still making 3 tanks at once. Maru realizing, the lurkers are too bothersome here. I just need a big line of big siege tanks here.
So at a certain point, Reynor is going to realize the efficiency just isn't cutting it for him, and he's going to have to change tacks. For now, we do see a few extra queens in production. I'm not sure if that's just for creep and injects, or if he's actually going to add those to the army. We talked about spellcaster usage is an option for Reynor. Another option is swarm hosts. Does get a planetary. This is costly, but he is making inroads into Maru's territory, but there's just layers of tanks upon layers.
Yeah, I mean, he's not getting critical damage here, but he's definitely punching Maru and hurting him here by picking off those planetaries, picking off potentially some production here. He didn't quite get those factories, though. Maru's still making 3 siege tanks at once, and he made that extra 2 starports. So I think he's on 3 starports at the moment with 3 reactors. Looks like he's reactoring out Liberators and Vikings here. So not only is he going to have an incredibly strong mechanical ground force with his tank count, he's going to have a pretty nice air force as well. So he's really getting a very expensive army up here for Terran.
Yeah, with no Spire upgrades, Reynor's not going to be able to swap into Broodlords or Corruptors or anything like that. Not that it's the best army necessarily to go for. He's still looking for angles here, is Reynor. I mean, he's still maxed. He's still got a bank. Don't get me wrong. Reynor still has many chances in this game, leaving all of his evolution chambers on red hit points with the Vipers there. Very cute. Vipers looking for yoinks. Going to grab at least 1 tank in.
They do grab that 1 tank, but it takes a little bit for it to go down, so it's still kind of just firing at Zerg units. The Bentlings going for the mineral line here, kind of going past the mineral line, actually. A bit of a shift queue there from Reynor. But he is definitely fighting damage. There we go, the Bentlings coming in now, hitting the SCVs very nicely. 14 of them going down. Planetary is going to get picked off there at 3 o'clock. Nice pick off for Reynor. Getting into the Terran's face, taking down a ton of SCVs, knocking Maru down to 40 here. But I'm still worried, Pig, and I'll tell you why. Maru is up a lot of army supply right now, and I do believe Reynor's spent his lava.
Yeah, he's got a lot of orbitals to drop mules as well, does Maru, so he can hang on 40 SCVs. That's not the end of the world. It's, as I said, the resources running out on Reynor's side of the map that's the issue. So, I mean, killing a base there is good, but he's also got to deny the top left. If he can rotate over there and get rid of that, then I'm going to start becoming a believer in Reynor's strategy. For now, though, it's looking like he's put a dent in Maru. He's going to need to do something more.
It's like that 3 o'clock once again being threatened here just by some 3-3 Adrenal Zerglings, or rather 2-2. They're on their way to +3 attack. And they are doing their job here. Those Lings, the most inexpensive part of Reynor's army, doing their job. Just getting rid of a refinery, slowing things down at 3 o'clock. Any single edge matters here when you're this high level. Maru is also replenishing those SCVs. Reynor still on an 86 drone count. He's going to get a free tank here for no problem whatsoever. Down it goes, once again lifting up 3 o'clock, still slowing down the Terran's mining. Good moves from Reynor with his Lings. And finally, we're seeing some spy units come out. 7 Corruptors going to add to the army here of Reynor, who is once again maxed out and once again spent his bank.
Yeah, Corruptor's going to be pretty worthless, I think. Maybe use him for sniping libs, but maybe going to be using
this choke point.
Oh, my lord. Oh, these pushes are just madness from Reynor, and they are not working out. His lurkers are getting annihilated.
He's got it's a lack of patience here from Reynor, unfortunately. Maru is stoic as a rock, stable, and he just manages to weather the storm, really, here, just like a cliff face against the ocean. I mean, eventually, it does get eroded, but I don't think Reynor's got that kind of time.
Yeah, it does
GG!
Like that. And, look at that,
yeah.
just taking the Italian completely out of his element. Oh, you like movement? You like counterattacks? You like harassment? You like back and forth battles? How about I give you 0 of those? I just turtle up, do some really light harassment, and I wait for you to get impatient. That was perfect play from Maru.
Yeah, I mean, we know Reynor, his attitude and his energy very much comes through in StarCraft. It's one of the reasons why I love this esports so much is that often the game is played like how you are in real life. And Reynor just wants to go, go, go. He wants to defend, 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 play fast, play furious, tempo, 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 go, go, go. And Maru's just like, nope, we're going to be Snorlax. We are going to chill and also be extremely powerful at the same time. You can try and move me, but I ain't going to move, kid.
You know, I think every Terran player out there has probably watched a Reynor Zerg versus Terran game where he unsieges his lurkers, runs on top of the Terran's army and just sieges on top of them with mass Zergling, kind of holding them in place. I think every Terran's looked at that and gone, that doesn't seem fair. Like, he's got a Stimpack siege tank and the fastest unit. There's these crazy attacks that Reynor wins so much of his Zerg versus Terran off. And you could feel like Maru's whole setup was like, I'm going to make sure they never pay off. You try to jump on me with lurkers, there was always more tanks behind. There was a planetary with another planetary with tanks. Tanks lives. Like, the layers of defense there. I mean, this was a kind of one-dimensional strategy for Maru, but Reynor took the bait and just kept fighting into it. And that was not good enough.
It was the most anti-Reynor way to play TVZ with someone that really just wants to deal with. He actually wants to deal. Not too many Zergs want this. I know a lot of you Zerg players out there. You don't want to deal with multiple medevacs at the same time while getting pushed through the middle of the map and having to multitask and split and defend. Reynor wants that game. Maru started giving him that game at the start there with the medevacs. We could see how Reynor was doing really well in the defense, but when it got down to actually trying to hurt the Terran, he's like, all right, when's the move out? 2-2's done. Is he going to move out with 2-2? Is he hitting a timing? Is he doing anything? No, he's not. And Reynor, cost and efficiency really was the name of the game there in game one. People will be wondering, why did he tap there? Why did he tap? He had no money, guys. He had no bank. And if Maru pushed, he would have absolutely died. In the bottom right, winning game one here from Team NV, he is Maru.
And up here in the top left side of the map, representing Clash Esports in the red, he did not get his way in map 1. Let's see if he can turn it around in map 2. It is Reynor. Looking to be the first non-Korean in the grand finals here at Katowice.
Yeah, ever since Snoot, of course, up against Polt way back in the day, but again, that was a region lock tournament, not the open tournament, the world final that we have today, the modern iteration of Katowice, which, you know, no offense to the old one, but I like the new one better.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. This is day 9 of non-stop awesome games, Maynard. I had a moment
shout out to Sean Plott
today. Yeah. Indeed, the day 9 of StarCraft, it truly is the greatest way to run a tournament. It's so amazing, true. Man.
The final day of IEM is day 9, where we go full circle.
I literally didn't even realize what I was saying. I was like, what are you joking about? And I'm like, oh yeah, we're back to the beginning again.
I miss you, buddy. All right, so we do have Reynor looking for those 3 Raxes, of course. We did see it to finish off Solar in the group stages. Maru getting a little bit aggressive, putting those racks out on the map, and this is a pretty popular map for it as well. So Reynor just trying to cover his bases literally and figuratively here with that drone scout.
Indeed. And you know what? Oxide was Maru's pick. Death Aura here, map 2 is Reynor's pick. And I thought, awesome. I so rarely see Reynor die on this map. The Terrans are always trying to split push down both sides at once, and he's just too good at scrambling around to defend. Always finds a way to get his lurkers out on the other side of the map. He's smashing planetaries with Banelings. Like, I don't see Reynor losing to Maru on this map. That's what I thought before I saw the last game. And now, all I can think about is those 4 bases are untouchable. If Maru plays the same as he did last game, you're not cracking him on 4 bases. And if you don't really need to worry about your 4 bases, it's not that hard, I would argue, as someone as good as Maru, to stretch out to a 5th, and then a 6th, and then a 7th. You know, if Maru can extend the defenses that far, like, he could easily turn Death or a very strong defenders map into that same stalemate scenario.
I think also a part of the reason why Maru picked that sort of way to play against Reynor, not only is it just very good against Reynor's style, we also take into account that we are sort of switching service here because we've got a player in Korea and a player in Europe. They're going from, that first map was in Central, so this is on West, which is better ping for the Korean, and Central definitely better ping for the Europeans. So maybe he just played that super slow style because he didn't feel confident with the ability to be able to like split everything on creep and that sort of thing. But I gotta say, man, he's still pretty decent with the medevac drops and that sort of thing. So I'm going to go back to what I initially thought and just sort of double down on the fact that I just think it was just a good style to play against Reynor's preferred way to ZVT with lurkers.
Absolutely. I think we saw it, you know, some of these super experienced players are so good at changing how they want to play the game to ruin their opponent's dreams. Zest did it versus Clem yesterday. He said, I'm not going to the mid game on an even footing. I'm just going to go at you and just throw wave after wave, and I'm always going to counterattack every time you try to move out. And I feel like game one was another great example of just such a veteran in Maru doing that to Reynor. I mean, Reynor's been around the block at this point, but hasn't really been forced to adapt in such a drastic way. And if we do get to that same stage, I know it's a little bit away, but just a bit of theory crafting. Yeah, I mean, is Reynor confident with Broodlord and Festa Viper the way Solar showed it? That's a big question for us. If Maru plays it ridiculously slowly, and this is very theoretical, and I mentioned it before, you could use Swarm Hosts, a very supply inefficient unit, but if the game slows down to a turtle's pace and truly is like, hey, you attack, no, you attack, that's where a unit that can just throw free stuff at your opponent does actually have a place.
This style of Maru as well, I've seen this from multiple Terrans here, not just Maru but Clem as well. It is a multiple prong attack slash harassment here. So Maru going to try and poke with the Hellions while the Liberator goes out across the map to try and hit the Zerg's drones. This could marry up with Marines and a medevac as well. At the moment, it looks like Maru's just got the Hellions as much as a mobile force. Haven't seen too much Marine production until just now. So yeah, keen on seeing how much Maru gets done with this start for the drop. At the moment, just playing Bio again, obviously dropping the second and third barracks. No one really likes to mech anymore these days. It's going to be pretty much Bio from here on out.
Nice, quick fourth base here for Reynor. He likes that fast fourth base. He knows that can give him a lot of production. And if he shuts this pressure down, having that fourth finished, it's going to allow him to just drone like crazy, get 4 bases of minerals mining. But the pressure's starting up. Viking coming in as the third command center lands. Their Hellions are rotating around looking for an opening as that Lib slides around the back. The Spore does get a few hits on it. Reynor seems to be well prepared and aware so far.
Yeah, these Spores are also perfectly positioned for this Liberator. It's not going to go, it's not going to get too much done here. It gets not even a shot off here. So the drones, Queens all stay alive. Hellion picked off on the outskirts here at the edge of the creep as well. Just in pure Reynor fashion, beautiful early game. 0 damage pretty much there from Maru.
Dude, with a fourth base finished and 1 upgrade starting at the same time, like, wow, this is the Zerg dream. If you get to this position, like, because now, man, it's just drones, overlords, you know, the lair starting, he'll go into Baneling speed behind that. By the time the first 2 medevacs come across the map, Reynor is going to be at like 75, 80 workers. He's just going to be in a monstrous position.
Yeah, Reynor is... the drone is his friend, and he is not afraid to get huge rounds of drones out. He's one of the masters of knowing perfectly when to drone and when not to. And he manages to get as many of those mining pancakes as possible with their little crab claws. He does a fantastic job at having more income than his opponent, which he'll almost always have. And we are heading towards, once again, just Ling Bane to start things off. Lair around the corner, though. And he has grabbing his gases, so... Does Reynor use these gases to go towards a Spire pretty quickly here? Or is he going to play Ling Bane for quite a while and just go directly into Baneling speed?
We'll have to see exactly what he's got in mind. I'd be looking to bust my opponent after that last game. If I was Reynor, and Mutas are going to be the go-to with the Spire here. A bit more mobile force, going to allow you to kind of poke and prod and find weakness. So that's going to be a nice way to start off with a little bit more potential movement. So far, the drop's finding nothing. Look at the creep spread once again, dude. If it wasn't for that last game being so good for Maru, I would be looking at this and be like, dude, you got to do something right now. Like, the creep's getting out of control. Reynor is starting to smother this map.
It's like that meme with the guy tapping his head. It's like, you can't worry about creep spread if you never move out.
It's the big brain thing, man. You know, things that us mere mortals worry about. Maru doesn't even sweat about as he comes in on the right, and hey, canceling one of the 5th bases over and over in that previous game. Looks like he will get 1 cancel to kick things off.
Yeah, the Mind Drag not too great there from Reynor. Does damage the Marines, but does get a cancel there for Maru on that 5th base. And obviously with the armory done, these Winter Mines are just going to straight chill here until an Overseer comes over for the clear up. Where are you going, ladies? Looking for those medevacs? too much dead space, unfortunately, on Death Aura for these medevacs. This is why it was such a popular BC opener map back in the day in this matchup. You can just park those things there all day long. Gonna need those mutts to pick them off.
Oh, we're just waiting for a mate, Maynard. You know.
Just waiting for a mate.
Yeah,
oh, there we go.
See? They knew he was going to come at some point. So the Queens are just waiting for a mate, and they'll see how that one goes. 2-2's a little ahead for Maru here as he continues, like I said, low risk drop pressure. Goes in and loses a medevac, but low risk drop pressure. Why? Because he knows Reynor's going to play Hydra Lurker. Guess what? Reynor's not doing that this game. He doesn't want those drops to be as annoying as they were last time. He wants to shut Maru down on the map and move right across and blow up Maru's 4th base time and again.
Reynor gets that full medevac there on the left side, so the Mute is starting off things in style here, getting a nice little pick off. Reynor definitely in the supply lead, definitely in the driver's seat of this game so far. Now Maru, I was just going to mention these Hellions, they have been alive this whole game. I'm used to seeing those Hellions continue to push on that creep, scans going down, trying to hit drones while drops are happening as well. Maru's Hellions have been chilling here to become Hellbats, so now they're healed up, and they can join the bio when they do start to move out on the map. And rather, Maru taking his 6 o'clock base here, taking that 4th base, planetary finishing, and he is reacting directly to the Lingbane Muta comp. Throwing in Thors, drilling claws around the corner as well, but Reynor knocking on that front door. He's going to make himself an opening here and try and hit that 3rd.
Yeah, I don't know if Maru's ready just yet. Reynor is at 100 workers, max on Muta Lingbane, and he's coming in and he wants to trade right here, right now.
Oh, good drag on those mines. 3 of them firing off. The 4th and the 5th one getting unburrowed there from Maru on the north side. So they still have their charges ready if the Zerg tries to come back again. Reyna's Ling count still quite convincing. 77 Lings here with 22 more on the way. It's going to be almost 100 Lings here for Reynor. More Banelings also being morphed, so he's going to have a ton of melee units out here in a second. Maru, though, about to have 2-2, and the Widowmines coming out 2x2 as well with the Thors. It does seem like as long as Maru's in position, his army should be able to take a fight.
Reynor's got to get a move on. He has the best CVT in the world in a standard situation. Maru, we know, is happy to play a non-standard situation in the late game, and it's really on Reynor. He should be coming around and smashing this 4th base. He's got to attack the 3rd, attack the 4th, and swap between those two constantly.
The Baneling actually got a lot more there than I thought they would. Killed quite a few bio units. Maru maybe not thinking that they would get that far with the mine and the bio tanking there. Double Lurker Den going down for Reynor. As you know, players at home, double Lurker Den means you make Lurkers twice as fast.
Okay, finally adds an Overseer to these Mutas. He was missing that for a little bit. He lost it in the previous fight, so finally replaces it and can snipe Widow Mines again. And Reynor, I mean, he's still in a very powerful position. That creep is covering everything. I was talking about how I think Maru should have no problem getting a 5th on this map if he plays like the last game. Right now, there's creep in front of him in a 5th base. Like, he is getting smothered. Reynor is coming in with another big wave. He wants to take this planetary out.
Oh, and he might get it if there's enough Banes, and he does get it. Lovely pick off there for Reynor. Looks like he had the perfect amount of Banelings actually to get the job done there. Good. Down goes the planetary, and his highs finished up as well. So in all seriousness, as I was joking before, the double Lurker Den does mean that he'll be able to get double upgrades for those tier 3 Lurkers. So he'll have the Adaptive Talons and also Seismic Spines right away there. So a pretty cool play, but it is expensive, of course, to get this double Lurker Den. But, you know, Reynor, as he is in real life, not short of cash.
Reynor should really be breaking down those rocks on the right of this map just to allow him to stomp this army in the top right. He's got mutas, and that gives him control. I think Reynor's focusing on the Lurker swap a bit too early. You do not want to lose these mutas. You need those to punish this army hanging out in the top right.
Mine's getting some good volleys off on those Lings. In come the Banes to help out with the Hellbats. Maru still has a lot of bio underneath these medevacs here, or rather enough to be threatening. And we got another force in the middle of the map here with the Thors. In come the Lurkers now for Reynor, forcing Maru to lift up here at the 5th base at the north side here at 1 o'clock, but through the middle, Maru just cleaving through that creep spread.
Yeah, Maru's retaking his 4th behind this, so his economy's not too bad at all right now. And Reynor, he's trying to get into Lurkers, but he's not quite there. Seismic Spines, so the Lurker speed, the Lurker range upgrades, they're only about halfway done. So Reynor, at this moment, he wants to swap into that composition that's so good versus the Widowmine Marauder. He's not there just yet.
Once again, a really inefficient game for Reynor, but it may not matter here. Still 98 drones, still all this bank as well. Speaking of banks, Maru's not looking too bad either as he's been maxed for a minute. That base over here at 9 o'clock going to get targeted down and taken down, and there's room for the Thors and the medevacs as well. Everyone's welcome. Climb aboard.
Time to build some more mutas or corruptors here, I think. Maru being super annoying here. He's just realizing, hey, you don't have very much anti-air, and Reynor making a bit of a mistake there. Maru just opportunistically drops back down. There's a bunch of Lurkers, Hydras, and Lings. Reynor trickling in right now. Oh, Maru, just fancy maneuvers here. And look at that, even a single Marine being annoying on the right of this map. He's going to go back to the dead space. Reynor is going to have to rebuild some mobile anti-air, whether that's Vipers or Corruptors. Want to do it.
The 2 Marines get the job done here. And yeah, this is a woefully inadequate anti-air army here for Reynor. No flying units, not too many Hydras either. And making Hydras to deal with medevacs just isn't as convincing as having that ball of mutas that he lost earlier, or having Corruptors like you mentioned. So Maru really utilizing medevacs to their utmost efficacy here. And these Thors just remain alive. He continues to do damage with them, continues to trade with them. Reynor feeling the pressure, feeling really impatient here by the looks of things. Wants to hit back, and he has to, I feel. So kind of damned if he does, dead if he doesn't. In comes the Banelings, looking for that SCV line, looking for another planetary bust.
Oh, this is some good damage. The planetary does go down. There's still a tank in the back. Another one sieging. The units drop on top. A crazy hot drop on top of the Lurkers and Hydras. Maru cleans that army up. Yeah, he loses a planetary, but he's already got a 5th up behind it. He lifts the orbital, moves it to his 4th. Maru is actually smashing right now. He's looking so good.
Indeed. We do have +3 carapace about to finish here for Reynor, but not as much army as he had before. He just lost a lot of it there at that planetary. Maru, of course, as most Terrans do, will be building command centers next to their other command centers so they can retake it just in case, but also to have plenty of scans and plenty of static defense as well if they want to go for the planetaries in a super late game. Maru's bank getting spent on another macro cycle there. He's maxed out again, and his army is looking terrifying, Piggy. He's got ghosts now as well to take the fight directly to the Lurkers.
5 base up against Reynor's 6 bases. Reynor needs to have a big economic advantage, and just being up 1 base is probably not too good for him. He really needs to keep that going. He doesn't know about the 5th base below. And that 5th base, he ran straight past it. If in that previous bust he just killed the 5th, ran away, it would have been a nice trade. But he lost his whole army in that previous fight. He still doesn't know about the 5th base, and Reynor here, I think, giving Maru a little bit too much room.
Well, he's going to try and make something happen here at this planetary for Maru. Unfortunately, this is where all the ghosts are as well. Baneling's coming in to try and get rid of those pesky tier 3 bio units, but once again, the fight not looking good for Reynor. Reynor just cannot win a fight against Maru here. He hasn't done it in game 1, and he's still not doing it in game 2.
Yeah, these are really uninspired engagements. This isn't what I'm used to seeing from Reynor. It's just something about the way that previous game went, I think, has gotten Reynor's head, because that last engagement was one of the poorest fights I've ever seen the young Italian take. Just attacking in one direction. His Banelings in a giant clump walking into Widow Mines and Siege Tanks. He's got to be a little bit more devious. I like that he's got a Nidus Worm up, but he's just cleared his entire bank to Remax right now. He's still got a good economy. He's going to have more chances in this game, but he's got to be a little bit more careful in when and where he fights. He cannot be one-directionally headbutting into Maru, especially not when Maru knows it's coming. Maru is having an easy time defending these pushes.
I mean, he certainly is. The mountain keeps coming to Muhammad here, and he wants to fight the Zerg, and the Zerg keeps coming to him with these big, aggressive lurker attacks with the Lings and the Banelings. And while Reynor will occasionally pick off a planetary, it costs him so much when he does it because the lurkers generally die, and obviously the Banelings do blow up to do damage. So now Maru's in that situation where once again his army is pretty big. It's a lot bigger than the Zerg's. Reynor's army definitely doesn't suck. He's got the Vipers now as well, but with a good placed EMP or Sniper or Viking usage here, those Vipers could disappear. And there's the EMPs from Maru. In comes Reynor with this big attack in 3rd place, which does look a little vulnerable, but come the reinforcements from the Terran.
Mass Siege Tank just annihilating the Banelings. Can he at least get some SCVs? He gets a few SCVs, 15 of them, but the base just lifts off and he loses a ton of units. Once again, damage done to Maru, but nothing critical. There is no point where he's wrapping around and really just smashing the ghosts, killing all the bio. Anytime you're running in with just lurkers and banelings against siege tanks, you're getting annihilated. So the big problem Reynor's having right now is he's not adapting his unit composition, right? He needs to change the way he's taking these battles. If he catches the tanks on the map, flanks them, comes from multiple angles, this composition's okay. But anytime you're running in from one angle into mass tank and ghost, you're gonna have a terrible time. So Reynor's got to rethink what he's doing here. And at the moment here on the biggest stage of his life, in the semifinals, he is having the amazing first 8 to 10 minutes of these games, right? He's getting in a spectacular position, but he is not finding a way in, and it feels like against Maru's defenses, he is losing a bit of confidence and he's getting a little bit obvious. He's kind of forecasting what he's going for.
Oh, 007 here looked like a nuke ghost if I've ever seen one. Widowmine actually helps him kill that ghost, but takes a few Lings down with it. In come the Banelings looking for the planetary. Look at the ghost ball. The ghost ball actually takes a big hit there. A lot of ghosts going down. Finally, Reynor getting into the meat of the army there of Maru. The planetary does get picked off as well. Reynor definitely finds damage there, but will he lose the lurkers again?
Yeah, those snipes, I feel like that was a much better trade for Maru, but for Reynor, sorry, but Maru floats the command center over and he can replace those workers as needed. He's got plenty of orbitals. A fight like that, as much better as it looked, as improved from the previous ones, it's those ghosts on the tail end, just blasting all the Hydras and Lurkers down with their snipes, that always makes me question, is this worth it? And I kind of feel like I'm not exactly sure what Reynor's supposed to do here, but the units lost tab once again, not as bad as game 1, but close to a 2-to-1 efficiency lead for Maru.
Indeed, and Maru does have, once again, the bigger, better army here at the moment. Reynor, at least, with a pretty massive bank compared to game one. His bank is pretty monstrous. He's also managed to secure that rich Vespene base up there and the north side as well. Big Ling run by here at the third base. I love that he's just using Lings here. That base is always an orbital, and he finds a lot of damage here. Some tanks, some SCVs, and a ghost as well.
Ah, much better there. We talked about compositions before, and you see now, hey, check it out. Maru's getting spread out a little thin on this map, but finally, Reynor, damage on the right, damage on the left. He's got to keep that command center back. If Maru gets that rich gas on the base, I mean, that means he'll easily leapfrog from there to take out Reynor's base, and it means he'll simply mine too much of the map out. So Reynor gets a bit of an opening. He starts a Great Aspire as well, so he's thinking about that swap into Broodlords, which I really think a big wave of surprise Broodlords can be a game ender, but you've got to support it with Infestors if you're up against Ghosts.
And Oxide, a lot smaller map here than Death Aura, so Reynor does have a little bit more room to expand as well. You can see that, like, at this point in game one, Reynor didn't have any more places to take hatcheries, so he's got plenty of places here for those 98 drones to continue to mine for him. He has been definitely dwarfing Maru's income for all of this game here. Another big Ling flood through the natural. Meanwhile, big fight here on the left side. The Lurkers left alone. Can Maru break through them, though? He doesn't have too much bio on the run through. And here we go, Reynor's Lings getting on top of two of those three factories, getting into the natural in the third as well. Big move from Reynor.
Finally, the mass Zergling. This is it. Everything Maru's got is based around countering Lurkers and Banelings. It's all tanks. It's like he's got like Liberators, tanks, turrets, ghosts. Mass Ling apparently just runs in and beats all of those things. Maru, how do you deal with that? Maybe he needs to make sure he's got more Marines or more Ghosts spread across those bases. Maybe more extra planetary fortresses, kind of just shoring up the defenses in multiple areas. But those last few trades have been spectacular for Reynor. He's not maxing out right now, but he's got the gas bank for days. He's going to go into Broodlords next up.
And he evacuated that base knowing that it was just a matter of time before it got picked off. So he goes over to the 3 o'clock base that just had the drones mining there, as it doesn't seem like Maru has his sights set on that base at the moment. Maru really wanted to take control of that high ground so he can put his planetaries there, get those rich gases saturated as well so that he can have the extra income for his gas-heavy army units. At the moment, the Bank of Maru has been spent, and he is, again, as I mentioned before, his income is being dwarfed by the Zerg. Ooh, I love that Infestors are being thrown in here for Reynor, going towards Infestor Broodlord. Could be really effective here against what Maru has at the moment.
It's a micro battle. It's a very intense micro battle, but it could do really well. This is a lot of defenses to run into. Blinding Cloud goes down. Corruptors and Parasitic Bomb landing on the Liberators. The Vikings come forward. Is there enough Corruptors? I don't think so. They're going to have to fall back from that. There's still a tank in the back, and the Ghost snipes. Bam! Lots of Lurkers and Hydras do fall. A trade there, which I think Reynor, not happy with cost for cost, but he's happy because his next wave's on the way. He's going to be remaxing, morphing his Broodlords now, and getting ready to take that base out with the next wave. The next attack is the really important one that needs to break Maru down.
Obviously, the Ghosts are a great unit against the Broodlord as long as they're not taking damage. Their spell, the steady targeting snipe ability, can be interrupted if the Ghost does take damage. So that's where the Fungals come in. But of course, it is a little bit of a tug of war. If the Ghost gets the EMP first, then the Infestors are paperweights. So this is going to be a pretty big moment here for Reynor when he gets up maxed again with those Infestors and with those Broods. And the next wave is going to be pretty interesting here, Pig. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, if we could see the unit stab as this fight comes in, I'd love to see the numbers. I think there's a decent Viking count, and they're really well spread as well. 8 Vikings, 10 Ghosts, no Thors on the ground, no Marines either. Those Broodlords are going to cause a problem for those siege tanks.
Certainly, and I think that Reynor actually hasn't got pathogen glands yet. Looks like these Infestors are hatching with not quite enough energy for Fungals just yet. So going to take a little bit before they're super scary, but again, the Ghost could get the EMPs anyway. So Reynor just slowly starting to chip away here at this planetary on the high ground for Maru that he's been desperately trying to hold on to.
Ooh, Maru gives up the base, moves to the right side of the map. A Nidus Worm answers for Reynor. He's got some Spine Crawlers that'll do a little bit to slow this down. Ling's moving over there as well. Reynor's going to try and use the Ling Hydra. He doesn't have a very big army there, though. Is this going to work out for Reynor?
I mean, the Lings got in there, but they kind of disappeared as quickly as they arrived there, and the snipes with the tanks erase those Hydras, so no, he does not get the job done. He does at least, of course, get rid of that planetary with the Broods, but they're kind of just sitting there, floating around in space, and now the drones under threat. Keep in mind that Reynor had 30 drones oversaturated over there as well, so he just lost a ton of his mining.
Oh, those drones should have run straight north. That was a big mistake. Reynor's going to rotate his army over there. Right now, he's saying, no, it's too slow. I've got to stay on the left. No, he has to move his army back to this right side of the map. The Nidus Worm doesn't find too much. The Vikings and the Thor dealing with that. Reynor is doubling down on Broodlords against Thor Viking right now. This can work, but it's going to come down to the spellcasters, and he's got to protect his bases, but he's just not moving to defend this right side.
I thought like Reynor was starting to take control here, starting to push Maru against the ropes, but now the Terran just cold, methodical plays, starting to trade again and again and again, and great decision-making as well from Maru, finding himself in the driver's seat one more time. Reynor does still have this big fleet of air units for the Zerg and the Infestors as well, and the Ghosts are really low in energy, so it is definitely a situation where the Zerg could potentially take a great fight here in the next few minutes.
These Broodlords need to be a little bit quicker to rotate. They've got to stay in more of a central location. Reynor's worried about them getting jumped on, so he's been very conservative with their movement. I want them to be further forward, jumping on these armies. I think Reynor's got the numbers here, and he's coming in from behind. Is Maru going to be able to take out this base? If Maru goes in any deeper, he's going to be forced to fight this, and that could get very dicey.
We got some Corruptors here and a full energy Viper to help out with those Vikings. Going to have to look for a parasitic bomb right in the middle of the pack there.
The Infestors are clumped. This is looking really scary. Watch out for those EMPs, Maynard. Right now, Reynor has not split any of his Infestors off. That can be a game loser. The Broodlords come forward. They get a volley off. One Thor goes down. A Fungal catches 2 Vikings. Doesn't hit the center of the pack. 16 Vikings in the air. This is an incredibly close back and forth. As you said, a parasitic bomb would be a great initiate to this fight. But as it is, both players are waiting for the other one to come forward and clump up.
Tank's getting some shots off of the Stormcrawlers. Oh, big Fungal there. There we go. Parasitic Bomb needs to come with that Fungal as well. There it is. Maru going to take a lot of damage on these Vikings. Huge Parasitic Bomb with the Fungal chain. A great hit to the Viking count of Maru. The count of Maru's Vikings gets dwindled there, but still looks strong enough to be a threat to the Broodlords. Maru doesn't feel confident to hold this position anymore. Starts to evacuate it with his army.
And Reynor, he's in an efficiency game now, retaking the base on the right. He's actually doesn't even have enough minerals to retake the rich gas base on the right. He has obviously lost so many more resources, which is why the way Reynor wins this game is holding all of the middle bases. He's got to deny any more bases from Maru, who's, by the way, Maru's mining is dwindling. And Maru's going to counter push on the right. A good choice by Reynor to give it up, but he loses a bunch of lurkers to the snipe. Takes out a planetary in return. Both players' economy is dropping down into a very, very low place.
I think Maru's realized that winning the fight against the Broodlord Infestor is not likely here. He doesn't have enough Vikings and Thors and also enough Ghosts to help him out on the ground either. So he's just trying to try and be where that army isn't. The Broodlords are so slow. That's one of their main weaknesses here. And the Infestors really have to be with the Broods for them to be as powerful as possible. So Maru does go to the right side of the map and make sure that if Reynor comes to his side and does damage, he's going to get some in return. So Maru hits back. But of course, this game balanced on a wire at the moment. It's really hard to call who's winning at this situation.
You know, Maru's playing so smart, though. He realized if he can just land an orbital on the right, 1 round of mules there, a couple thousand resources, just like that. Because of the nature of those, Reynor with the Zergling does scout it, which is very good. But I think, yeah, if Maru just empties mules on that base, his income will shoot up like crazy. Oh, Thor caught out in the open. Reynor's only
factories are here too.
One base. The base is in the middle left, that's Reynor's base. Like right now, that's his income. And it's getting dry right now. So honestly, as long as Maru just keeps dragging this out, drops an orbital, drops some mules, gets a few thousand resources, this is all Reynor's competing with it. 50 drones on 4 mineral patches, Maynard. It is just a trickle. Both of them are running very dry right now.
Maru just sent 70% of his SCVs over to 3 o'clock as well. A lot of SCVs going over to that orbital. A very low mining situation here for both of these players. Man, this rotation of Reynor, it really feels like Reynor's starting to take control of the south side of the map with Maru taking control of the top right. But Maru's army coming in here. He's like, all right, this is enough. I don't want to lose these factories. I don't want to lose this base here in the south. I need to fight him here. Oh, that Ghost energy count looking a lot more healthy. The Thor count looking good as well. Maru going to break off a few spies there as they cloak. Let's see what he can get done. He's going for the big EMPs. Can he get the EMPs? Oh, whiffs there.
Good spready on the Infestors. I'd like to see Reynor keep 1 or 2 of those Infestors off hotkey, off the control group, a little bit further back from the army. I'd also like to see him have maybe some Ling Bane or something that could just like emergency jump on the Ghost and disrupt them if he gets in trouble. Because his army is so slow and immobile, Reynor's got to be super duper careful to not get caught out and exposed. And honestly, 13 Vikings, 6, 7 Thors, 14 Ghosts, if they are able to connect with the Broodlords, 12 Broodlords will not last very long. It's a very lacking amount of actual damage output that Reynor has, and that's why he swapped into Neural Parasite. He's going to try and steal the Thors off Maru. If he can pull that off, he could turn this game around massively.
Absolutely. We got a stealthy, sneaky Infestor Boy over here underneath those Thors. I mean, as soon as that Infestor is scanned, it will be deleted. EMP's coming down, but once again, Maru missing the center of the pack of those spellcasters. Parasitic Bomb hit the medevac there. Not the big critical target for the Parasitic Bombs either. So neither player really finding a ton of damage. Maru nearly picking off a Broodlord at the edge of the pack, but not quite there either. Both players nearly getting a little bit done, but as the dust settles, both of them still with all their units just waiting for the actual fight to begin.
Whoa! Ooh. Oh my lord, that army!
Oh!
Big EMP and Big Fungal, both sides trading spells, gonna try and chain the Fungals.
Oh my god!
It is Reynor, Parasitic Bomb landing!
And Neural's going down as well, but the Infestor's getting deleted there with the scans. Oh my god, all the Infestors are dead here. Maru, he's killed all the Infestors. Does he have enough Vikings to fight the Broodlords? He's targeting them down one at a time, fighting the Corruptors with the Thors to assist and the Ghost to assist. That engagement for Reynor looked all right at the start there with those Fungals, but Maru with too much when the clouds part.
Yeah, if he didn't land the Neurals, he was always going to lose that fight. Once that big EMP landed, and he only had 3 or 4 Infestors left, Reynor just did not have the numbers.
GG.
On their own, not enough damage to take that out.
Wow, I mean, a great showing there from both players. Reynor giving me a bit of hope in this series, but the score does not lie. Maru on match point here with a 2-0 lead on Little Caesar here, our non-Korean representative in this top 4. I mean, this just keeps happening in the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice Pig. We get a non-Korean occasionally in that top 4. You know, Cyril back in 2018. Unfortunately, though, getting unceremoniously dispatched by Classic. Is it going to be history again here for Reynor, getting 3-0 by his Korean opponent in the round of 4? God, I hope not.
Well, I mean, these games are very special, right? This is not a 3-0 crushing in a normal sense. You hit your pressure, you do some damage, finish them off with a push. No, not at all. It is a very different, evolution of the game that we're seeing, and Maru is outplaying Reynor right now, but that last game, I think it was a step forward for Reynor. He needs to make a bigger step forward in the next map. He cannot sit back as long as he did. I really feel the moment he started swapping into Lurkers is where he let that game slip away from him. Reynor was doing great with the Lingbane Muta, and I think he could have kept Maru off of 5th base for a lot longer, but he let a whole bunch of his Mutalisks die, didn't punish the fact that Maru was running around the map with Bio. The whole point of Mutas was to completely shut Maru off the map, and he didn't actually use them for that correctly. So I think he gave Maru a little bit too much space, and then he started doing some very lazy lurker attacks where attacking into the 4th, not even realizing the 5th was up and undefended, and then 2 or 3 more incredibly wasteful attacks before it felt like Reynor switched on, and the Zergling run-by started coming in and doing big damage, and he was hitting his multi-prong and swapping into Broodlords and doing many different things. It felt like there was a point in that game where Reynor finally switched gears, and we actually got to see the young Italian that has made it this far in this tournament off amazing skill.
Yeah, I mean, definitely got a lot of hope there from game 2. Reynor was absolutely winning at one point there in that game, but it does feel so scary to go to the late game here against Maru. And it's also kind of ironic, really. I remember, obviously, we were both seeing a lot of StarCraft and casting a lot of StarCraft in 2019. The answer to Zerg back then was, don't let them get into the late game, because it's just too scary. And I feel like the shoe's on the other foot here. You cannot let this Korean Terran get to the late game. It is just too scary. Speaking of scary, up here on the top left, on match point, 1 map away from his first grand final Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, this is Team NV's Maru.
Talk about a map that it's scary for as well, because I think it favors his style, but down here with a big challenge in front of him, the Zerg player, he has to make a comeback even bigger than his previous ones. He needs to win the next 3 maps in a row to keep going. Representing Clash, he is Reynor.
I mean, we've seen some magical comebacks in StarCraft. And of course, the game's been around for 10, going on 10 and a half, 11 years this year. And we've seen some incredible comebacks. We've seen some magical moments in this beautiful esport of ours. But going 3 games in a row against a Terran that looks this good, I just don't know, Pig. That seems like such a tall mountain to climb. Not only that, but also with bad weather, and you don't have any climbing gear, you don't have any ropes. You probably are just in a singlet. You look like Sylvester Stallone from Cliffhanger. I don't know how he didn't die of frostbite in that movie, but, movie magic, plot armor, it's fine. But really, that's kind of the situation here in-game for Reynor.
Yeah, no room for error at all here, as it looks like we're going to see that command center first opening out of Maru. And last time Maru went for CC first, it was game 1 versus Rogue on Death Aura. That was the one where he did the big Stim Marine Hellbat push, which he didn't really commit with, but he got way ahead just by keeping Rogue off of 4th base and clearing his creep and scaring the heck out of him. And this looks like pretty much exactly the same build order so far. So definitely one which I think Reynor will have studied those games. We'll see how he prepares.
Yeah, so the CC first, of course, we've seen it before here in this tournament. I think it was actually this map as well. You get to see the CC first TVZ style. Obviously quite greedy, and you can get away with it. Maru did it against his previous teammate from yesteryear, Rogue, which again, we're in a situation where Maru did get a 3-0 over his opponent there in the Zerg, but what's really amazing is that Maru's in the semis here, 1 map away from the victory, and he hasn't dropped a map yet since hitting the playoffs.
Reynor going to go for that forward European 3rd base. Out in the open, no nasty mineral patch drop area, which of course the other 3rd base was where Maru punished Rogue with a double tank drop behind there, but this is a very different scenario where a lot of the Europeans like to just expand along that top side of the map, really push their creep through the north, and so far Reynor skipping Zergling speed and going right up into Overlord speed to check what the follow-up is.
Yeah, Overlord speed immediately here, so you know, he's still going to go Link speed, but is definitely delaying it. So really just wants to make sure the Terran isn't sneaking anything in on him this game. Obviously, he knows he's not being proxy racks at this point, but what is Maru going for as a follow-up with the CC first build? Is it, a multiple barracks opener, which we know it is. This is the CC first 2-1-1 from Maru by the looks of it.
Extra queens on the way, Overlord's creep spreading forwards. That reactor going down on the factory there, starport building as well. And the Overlord's going to start to just wander around, double check everything that happens. I imagine Reynor, upon seeing this, may opt for an earlier Baneling Nest once he sees the 2nd barracks, but so far those Marines doing a very good job of keeping his vision out.
Yeah, the main base being denied vision there by that Overlord, like you mentioned, for sure. So this Overlord speed not really paying for itself just yet, although we do have an Overlord on the right side here in the Marine count of Maru. Oh man, he's actually got enough Marines to hide the fact that he's got what he's got. But I mean, when you see that many Marines though as Reynor, you kind of know what's up anyway. There's no other way to get that many Marines up with a single barrack. So Reynor is going to know here that there is going to be very likely an either ground push with Marines or a drop timing.
Indeed, and the armory is on the way. So yep, it's that Hellbat Marine timing that we were expecting, Maynard. And no Baneling Nest on the way yet for Reynor. Definitely something you want is a Roach Warren or a Baneling Nest, depending on which style you want to play. Overlord's going to come in now. And the Marine's a little bit too slow to react. Armory is spotted.
Big scout. Huge scout there from Reynor. He's got all the information he needs. Starts the Baneling Nest immediately here. Of course, those Banelings need to be here yesterday to hold this push. I gotta say, I actually feel like this is a situation where I feel good for Reynor. This is a very expensive opening for Maru. Obviously, he's going 3CC, so this isn't all-in or anything like that. He is going to have a follow-up. But historically, in this series so far, Reynor has been very good at holding these timings in the early game from Maru. Can he do it again? These Lings going around the backside here.
Yeah, I love that choice. They're not going to be good initially against the Hellbat, so you might as well just do a run by. There is a wall up, but there's a... Oh, it's not up! It's not up! The command center's exposed, the worker's exposed! The Marine's getting on top of straight away already. Okay, a lot of SCV's going to go down. Those 3 Marines doing what they can, and they are going to eventually defend. That could have been even worse if those Marines weren't reacted with so quickly. Maru pulled them behind the mineral line, and because of that, loses 8 SCVs where he could have lost 20.
And all 8 of Reynor's Queens off hatchery duty, join the creep spreading Queens to just get on that front line and bat away the Hellions and the Marines there of Maru. A good start for Reynor. That run by, pretty inspired, did a lot of damage there. Maru picks another angle. The Ling actually caught the inside of it.
Good defense by Maru, but yeah, what Maru was meant to be sharking around Zerg territory for the next few minutes with this build. Instead, his Hellions have had to go home just to defend, just to secure his own expansion. Once again, 6 minutes in the game, Reynor's already ahead. It's been like this 3 games in a row. Reynor is just outplaying Maru in the early stages, but man, Maru just makes you forget about that in the late game, doesn't he? He says, oh, an early lead. I don't care about that, dude. I am just so calm and collected in the later stages. Like, for Reynor, it really is. You need to take this lead, but more importantly, you need to capitalize on it, and that's what Maru is making very difficult.
Maru's clearing up a bit of creep here. That hatchery, of course, it is not to be seen. As Reynor's doing that EU ZVT style of just, or actually just a lot of Zergs doing it these days, expanding at the front door there for their third base and just scoring along the edge of the map for your fourth and fifth. And also, I think Reynor got his third as his lair as well, which is interesting. So a few more hit points on that front line does mean his hatchery's going to be a little bit harder to pick off.
Fire is the choice once again. I think that did great for Reynor in the early stages. Even if there's Widow Mines, I would not mind Reynor going hard into the Mutas. I feel like Mutiling Bane, if you're ahead of your opponent and you're as fast as Reynor is, you're going to always find a way in. There's such a mobile composition, gives you so many angles you can work on. You force missile turrets and all this sort of stuff. So I really like this style from Reynor. I love the opening. He's up 20 workers. His fourth is established. His creep is great. There's nothing I have except compliments for Reynor's, first 8-9 minutes of the game, but I'm very curious because Widow Mine drop, that's a double mine drop? Oh my god.
Yeah, there's 6 Widow Mines here, Pig. I mean, the armory obviously is done, so they're going to have the ability to I guess, remain cloaked when they burrow as well. So in they come. Oh, on top of the Spore Crawler, doesn't really matter there. So Maru going for a mine drop at the third base, also in the natural as well. Here comes Maru right next to the Spire. So while the Widow Mines do get cleaned up here, he does at least see the Spire. Oh, that one gets a connection. 7 drones going down. More drones than I thought. So Maru finds some damage and gets the scout off.
Perfectly fine defense, though, for Reynor. Even letting a few Banelings blow up on one of those Widow Mines just to stop it firing. Well worth it there. You just want to make sure this doesn't get out of control because, of course, the Terran wants to keep you occupied with those Widow Mine drops while they macro on up. And a quick fourth command center is starting. Maru, he would have liked that to be about 2 minutes earlier, to be honest. But because he lost all those SCVs to the run-by, it's pretty slowed down.
You're absolutely right there. Fourth base, barely begun here at the third. Medevac's coming back. See, she's a little battered and bruising it repaired there by the workers at the third. Maru and Reynor getting ready for the later stages of the game here. Tier 3 around the corner for the Terran as +2 attack starts. Obviously, the armory is done, so we can head towards Thor's shortly as well to handle the mutas once he sees that tech. I mean, obviously knows about the Spires, the turrets coming down, and we know that Terrans, when they play Bio, love to just go into mines and Thors. There's that first Thor there from Maru, our Tier 3 unit about to hit for the Terran. Reynor, 84 drones, starts a round of a cheeky extra dozen there, Pig, because what's 84 drones when you could go up to close to 100?
You know, they have the term a baker's dozen, Maynard? Well, a Reynor's dozen is apparently always over 100. It's yeah. Unlimited workers. He's like, yeah.
There's the extra 4, there we go.
There we go. He's always got to hit that, you know, just 2 more on top of that. We'll get to the full triple digits. And he's going to go there for sure. And that gives him the comfort to throw units at his opponent, you know, which he's been doing a lot in this series. And I wouldn't mind more of it as long as it's fast-paced and early. And he's keeping Maru off the 4th base. But he just... The way he's been doing it with Lurker Baneling against tank heavy has not been working out. Now, Maru is mine heavy so far in this game. Mine Thor's very good versus Mutiling Bane. There's no siege tanks yet, so arguably a Lurker swap would be good in this scenario. It's why he did it last game in the same sort of situation, but I still think there's a lot that can be done with Mutiling Bane right here, right now.
I'm absolutely with you. Obviously, with a lot of mines, you can take a really good fight against the Mutiling Bane because of that splash damage if Reynor messes up the engagement. But historically, he's been so good at dealing with those mines, with this unit comp. He hasn't been losing everything really haphazardly against that kind of comp with this kind of, fast and sort of backstabby army here that Reynor's going for. Hive begins immediately there for Reynor. 2-2, very close for both players. Actually, upgrades very close for both of them here on both sides. Hive obviously going to be on the front there for Reynor, but fully hit pointed Hive is very, very tanky, very hard to pick off for the Terran. A ling run by there from Reynor. The door is down and he's in again.
That could be disastrous, and great Baneling split there already. The natural getting ransacked. The mutas are going to run in on the north side. Reynor, I can feel that comeback starting. He definitely is feeling the momentum. Focused, his eyes just killer focused right now. His mutas fly and get a turret on the third. Pulls back for now, seeing a Widow Mine backing up the turret in the main. But 25 workers go down, and this is, of course, Reynor going to 7 bases versus a Terran who's barely establishing a 4th.
Yeah, I think Reynor knows he's winning here. This is when you go full sweaty Chad gamer. You get laser focused, your eyes start to glow, and your back arches, and you know that you are in the driver's seat, and you start to hopefully get a bit of a flow state happening because he's going to need that for the next 3 games in a row to come back in this series. He's looking real good in Game 3, Pig, not going to lie. The top base has been taken. That's the 6th base here for the Zerg. Oh, man. Or rather the 5th. He's taking the 6th at the south side. Muta's coming up again towards the natural where he knows there are Widow Mines and turrets. Hopefully he doesn't lose all of them there. He's been pretty good he's been pretty good at babysitting the mutas so far.
He has, but I would say too good. I say throw him into those mines. Headbutt. Go, 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 go. Yes, Maru's sneaky with those Widow mines, but that's all right. You can focus those down if you want to. Already gets one with the bounce, and these mutas are starting to find big damage. His army is sitting on the right. He wants to jump on the 4th planetary to take that out. The E-base! Ooh, goodbye, 3-3.
Yeah, not enough Marines here. A lot of the force from Maru on the ground. Roy Marauders, and the Thor was kind of derping out there, and the Natural only got one more volley off on those mutas, so he loses his engineering base. 3-3 being denied for the Terran is absolutely massive. It's very rare that a Zerg's going to have a double upgrade lead for this long.
I'm worried about Reynor's unit count, though. He's still very heavy on Banelings. The mutas do come in one more time, and they are getting more and more damage. I mean, these mutas are paying off in a big way so far. As I said, though, he's on mass Baneling, like 45 Banelings, going up to 65 Banelings. That's not good versus Widow Mines or tanks. These are the things that Maru is building. Lots of tanks, lots of Widow Mines. So Reynor is putting a lot of his army supply in units that he cannot not only trade effectively with, but like there's a good chance he just loses them all to splash damage. I mean, he's ahead right now, but Maru is maxed. He's hitting max, and Reynor is not slowing him down. He is not stopping him right now. Yes, he's damaged him, he's wounded him, but it's not mortal. And what is the next step for Reynor?
Yeah.
It feels like he is constantly waiting for Maru to lose patience and move out, but this is not that version of Maru. This is a Maru who just digs a deeper trench. He sets up a bigger wall, he sieges his tanks more and more, and he waits for you to come to him.
I actually feel like Maru would do really well if he did push here, but him slowing down like this, oh yeah, big Baneling run by, getting through that wall in there. He actually doesn't have too many SCV damages. He mainly kills depots. The mutas, though, getting that planetary pick off on the north side.
Yeah, I mean, those depots, that's kind of what I was worried about. 5 depots for 40 Banelings. Is it worth it? Questionable.
Probably not.
Probably not. Mass Baneling is really not what you want here. Obviously, because Reynor's so high on workers, he needs a supply-efficient unit to stop a push when it comes. It's just that, yeah, Maru is not quite stepping onto creep just yet. He's darting around defending his bases, and that's all he's focused on for now. Reynor's got to keep doing damage, keep doing the run-bys, keep doing the multi-prong.
And they're starting to throw in some ultras as well. Widowmine nearly gets a shot off, but he turns and fires, picks off those Widowmines. Tanks again, exposed and picked off. Easy pickings there for these mutas with their +2 attack. Now, and these mutas have been the MVPs for Reynor. They've absolutely given him a lovely spot here in this game. Yes, the Marines get some pepper on them, but I'm not sure any of them actually died there.
No more air upgrades is a little bit of a bummer here for Reynor, but hey, he finds another Widowmine, another siege tank. The mutas, ooh, a lot of mutas go down, but the Banelings cleanse that planetary with their acidic fire.
They do indeed, getting rid of that base there with the Banelings again. That cost Reynor a lot of money, but he's not short of a bank here, Pig. 7,000 minerals in the bank and change, along with nearly 3k gas in the bank here for Reynor. And he's going to be able to use that extra supply cap on Ultras as well as round out those Lings and Banes as well. So his army is getting slowly more powerful here. And finally, Maru gets 3-3 done after losing those engineering bays.
Ooh, that muta count's getting low. I mean, they've been the real damage dealer this game. So part of me, even now at 15 minutes, is like, dude, keep building mutas. Don't stop. Like, rebuild. Just hang out at 30 mutas, dude. They ignore siege tanks. They can focus down Widow Mines before they fire. The mutas are the secret to your success. I feel like it's when Maru's able to clear creep and run around on the map like this, that's where he actually starts to do okay in these series.
I'm with you. I mean, these mutas are absolutely being the MVPs for Reynor. I'll say it again for sure, but this ground army of Ultra Baneling has been doing work as well. Baneling streaming in and cleansing this base once more. The Ultra's still healthy as well as they come on in, trying to give those Thors the big Kaiser cuddles here, taking down Ghosts as well, and Marauders and Marines. Not too many SCVs died there, but the base does get busted, and a lot of the army of Maru also got busted there. Ah, man. Not cheap for Reynor, but again, he is just dumpstering the income of Maru right now.
Yeah, I think that's totally fine. I mean, he's got to, I think, rebuild some more of his mutas or corruptors and go around, because the top base is being established as well right now for Maru. And if Maru can get both those bases up, as long as he can kind of remax between each wave, technically he could still stabilize. I think this is perfect from Reynor though, right? 4 or 5 Ultras up front, lots of Banes, smash in and just overwhelm everything on the ground. And because the mutas are still being such a nuisance as well, this is really difficult for Maru to deal with.
Finally, looks like the age of the Muta might be over. Those ghosts getting on top of them and taking them down. The Ultra's coming in for another swipe here. Oh, the Baneling's getting into the SCV line. A lot of them lost. This is finding as well. The Orbital actually dies there to the melee units. Could have been lifted, but that just means that more space for these Ultras to get in and get us around. All these two ghosts on the edge of the pack get clipped there by the Banes, and this 12 o'clock base, it's not happening, Pig. In fact, it's dead.
He doesn't even lift it. Maru, of course, is so on the back foot, and he doesn't even have a wall on the natural anymore. Widowmines defend those Banelings. Oh, SCVs falling on the natural. Reynor is in his element, and I'll tell you what, Maru, I honestly think has had much better late game than Reynor, but Reynor's early to mid game is so powerful that it affords him this ability to just swarm over the top, and he finally gets a point on the board after a rough start to the series.
We have got ourselves a series, ladies and gentlemen, StarCraft fans out there tuning in. Finally, we've got that non-Korean getting ourselves a map there in the top 4 of this new version of the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. I mean, a new, old version. We've had it for a few years, but it's excellent to see Reynor fight back here in the series against Maru. It's been so one-sided, but it has been a sort of a change in momentum. Game 1, extremely Maru favored. Game 2, Reynor had some moments a lot closer, but Maru winning in the end. Game 3, definitely looked a little scary for Reynor there in the middle. Once again, all the stories of these games has been inefficiency from the Zerg backed by a large economy and a big economy advantage, rather. It's not just one large economy, just having a much bigger economy than the Terran. But that time, his plan worked. And those mutas, man, they found insane value.
So good on that map, right? The angles you can come from and romanticize in, around, behind the natural. And remember, guys out there, if you are wanting to become a good Terran player, you always need to put your engineering bays behind your natural on the edge where they can be sniped by drops and muta harass repeatedly. As every single time we see this happen, change your eBay positionings, Terran players. 3-3 is important. No, obviously, just kind of joking there. But that map, it's the same reason the double Widowmine drop came in from Maru, right? It's so much airspace. There's so many angles that you can work in from. And Reynor did a splendid job. Honestly, he was making it easy for Dark on Death Aura there, rolling Banelings into tanks repeatedly in like a line. Like he wasn't even getting a spread of Banelings. It was always like a column of Banelings. Like, you guys can shoot us down 1 or 2 at a time. I think we saw a different Reynor, a more comfortable Reynor, and he's going to have to keep doing that 2 more games if he wants to win this series.
He's starting to climb that mountain of Maru, man, and it's a tough one with a lot of sharp edges and some very bad weather, but that's the first step. Let's see if he can make it to the summit, though. Winning 3 in a row is such a tough ask. Lightshade is going to be our next battlefield between these titans representing their races. Obviously, we've got 2 incredible Protosses on later. We got that parting Zest semifinal coming up, which I'm really excited to see. I don't know about you.
Dude, I think it's going to be awesome. I think it might be over in 25 minutes, but it's because they're both going to go at each other. They're going to go at each other so hard. Like, those guys, oh man, there won't be... Yeah, mistakes will be punished in that series as well. I'll tell you that. That's going to be a very exciting next semi-final up. But for me, what I'm really just thinking about here is look at Reynor's camera. It's a different energy. I mean, Maru never really shows too much, but Reynor's normally rapping, he's bopping, he's smiling. After those first 2 games where he knows that he was ahead in both of them and let it slip away, he's kind of been in super focus mode, and he's kind of saying, look, I need to have a deep think about it and adapt my play. We could see a little bit of singing there, but maybe not quite the energy, because this man up here, an implacable wall, the guy who stole Solar's soul earlier in the tournament, and he's trying to do it to Reynor as well. In the top left, representing Envy, it is Maru.
And in the bottom right here, Little Caesar, the Italian stallion from Clash. On the way back, can he do it again? This is Reynor. Yeah, definitely a change in energy here, Pig. That focus. He's in the it's not personal, it's business face that we're seeing here from Reynor.
Oh, indeed he is. And this is interesting. Pull first for Reynor. Looking for maybe a couple early Zerglings across the map, but Maru is going for a low ground barracks. Now, Pool first does work its way into a really nice Roach aggression. It could be a 2x Reaper wall off. There's a few different options. I mean, he would have started the second barracks by now, Maynard. It is just a low ground wall off. It's fascinating. I guess that way he just wants to stop the Overlord sitting on the pillar. So in this positioning, if you go Marine first, you can hunt down the Overlord, and then you can always float the barracks to spot any Overlords nearby. So Maru, I guess, just trying to be a little secretive and have a head start on the wall off. The downside of this is you actually just die to Ravager attacks because you're down in the natural. Like, there's a lot of things that can kind of kill you. This wall's a little bit more fragile.
Yeah, I mean, you're completely right, and we did see pull first from Reynor, so it is definitely a possibility. We'll keep an eye on that as Maru continues his build. Looks like just a factory tucked in behind that barracks here is the plan. So just heading towards that 1-1-1, just in a bit of a weird spot. Obviously used to seeing that in the main base.
Okay, so he's just going to go straight for a factory there, and imagine a Marine should probably be popping out in a little bit, but actually no production on the barracks just yet. He's just trying to go react to Hellions. These Lings are going to just walk right in and do big damage.
They certainly are. Who needs Ling speed? In they go. No Reaper to worry about. No, nothing to worry about. That natural is going to be slowed down here. Reactor's not even going to happen. The Reaper coming back immediately there. I mean, this already is very annoying for Maru.
Yeah, I think Reynor had some inside info about the build that Maru is going to open for. A bit of a change up here gets him an amazing position. Maru's opening was very greedy. I mean, he did a CC first in the previous game, so maybe Reynor was hoping for something similar. Already multiple SCVs, delaying the factory, delaying the second depot, so he's supply blocked right now and delaying the command center. A disastrous start there for Maru.
Yeah, definitely very uncomfortable, and only costing Reynor half a dozen Lings. Definitely worth it there for the Zerg. And of course, the game will continue. Neither player out here at the moment. The natural finally done for Maru has been slowed down quite a bit. The reactor also slowed down quite a bit, and Maru's going to have to finish off that wall as well. Time to get those Hellions out in the field and try and get some, wrestle a little bit more map control away from the Zerg here.
Yeah, that's what he was looking for from the start of the game. Definitely the pointiness of the build order has been taken away, though, as the Hellions start very late, and Reynor starts a Roach Warren here on just 30 drones. I think seeing that low ground wall off, knowing you've done early damage, a Ravager Ling is just too attractive. Doing a big Roach push, I'd expect to see Reynor stop at maybe 35 workers, but hey, he's already building Overlord, so maybe just a 33 drone Ravager Ling. He's only on 1 gas, so he's not going to be able to afford a lot of Ravagers. It's going to be more of just a Roachling thrust.
Well, I mean, the thrust could definitely kill if it hits something vital. So let's see how Reynor goes here. Obviously, the Overlords are done, and it is time to make the Roaches. That's the first time we've seen the Roach Warren here in the game for Reynor. Maybe the time that's works out perfectly for him here. That low ground wall just too tempting. And
oh my god.
Oh,
the production tab, Maynard. I was like,
starports?
Viking doesn't help against this, but you know what? Maru's whole plan was to deny information and go 2 starport BC or Battle Cruise Banshee.
All right, well, if he does that, he is very, very dead.
3-port Banshee? What?
You know what? 3-port Banshee? 3-port Banshee will kill these Roaches, but he needs to get there.
He's not starting any of those units yet. The Roaches are already almost at his base. They are going to butcher his economy, knock off his third gas mining. He actually gets... That was meant to be a fusion core, and it was a third starport.
Maru's dead.
Did you see the look on his face? Maru
had
this big, awkward smile, like he was like, oh, did I just do that? And then he sees the Roaches walk in, and he's like, you're kidding me. You're kidding me, man.
Yeah, his face is telling 1,000 words here. It's just like, oh, God, really? In game 4. Oh, man. I mean, Reynor's knocking on the front door pretty hard here. That thing's about to go down. Here comes some Hellions to the backside there with the Reapers. Of course, the low hit point. Roaches getting turned into Ravagers here. Reynor's in. The call is coming from inside the house. Maru going for the emergency wall off, but that's not going to last too long against these Ravager piles and these Roach target fires.
Yeah, cute wall off there for Maru, buying time for his 2 Banshees. Maru, if he wants to stay in this game, he absolutely will be able to defend eventually with the Banshees. The Hellion counterattack. Ooh, a nice little bit there. Remember, no Zergling speed was made, so those are slow Zerglings. Not exactly the natural predator of the Hellion, the slow Zergling and the drone, but the Roaches and the Ravagers are doing 10 times more damage on the other side of the map.
They certainly are. Double Banshee is out here. Obviously, a big supply lead for Reynor. Biles down the last few bits of the Terran infrastructure on the top of the ramp there. The SCVs have nowhere to run and not too many places to hide either. The Double Banshees will eventually get the job done. They're going to start taking things down, but has Maru taken too much damage? The answer is yes, and Reynor wins game 4, and we are going to go to the ace match.
Cheeky builds coming out there. Some spicy moves from Maru, not getting a chance to do anything that they wanted to. Reaper on the low ground, no Marine behind it, no SCV scout. There aren't many greedier builds than that. He thought, hey, it's match point. Reynor's going to play safe, but Reynor's 6 Zergling pressure just set him off on the right footing. The Ravages and the Roaches to finish it off. Just fascinating, though, to know here from Alcee. I don't know if Reynor even realizes that was meant to be 2-port battle cruiser. Like, did he even realize that when he went in with the Roaches and the Ravages? I'm not sure. But Maru is definitely being super cheeky there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool build. It probably works out for him quite a bit, but Reynor just had an answer for it. And as a guy that likes to open BC myself in this matchup from time to time, I'm more scared of Roaches than I am of anything else, because an early Roach attack puts a stopper in that kind of play.
Yeah, it takes almost double the time of a Banshee to build a battle cruiser, so not the best answer to it. And when you've got that low ground wall off, it takes so many more structures to actually complete the wall off. Your depots are all exposed, your add-ons on the low ground. It's very rare in this scenario you pop out a tank at the last moment, it's behind the ramp on the high ground, and you're all good to go. That just doesn't really happen, so I think definitely he's used up his free lives so far, and we're finding ourselves once again in a Reynor ace match. And I feel like this is the first time Maru's really been tested now that we're in this bracket stage.
I mean, you're absolutely right, because he has not lost a map yet until now. Reynor, he keeps having these really close series. There's a very similar situation rather against Dark, where it looked like the Korean was on match point and everything was going his way, but then a reversal of momentum, a shift in the energies, and suddenly Reynor ended up standing supreme in the end.
Yeah, admin just asked Reynor and said, do you need a minute break? He said, no, I am good to go. Maru as well there, you can see kind of adjusting his seat, refocusing, thinking about what he's going to be bringing out, as this one map will decide it all. No more chance for error on either side. Pillars of Gold is going to be next up. Does Maru try to turtle to the late game again? Does he try to recreate that scenario from the first game?
Well, in the top right here, it is the man who's been in charge at the beginning of the series, but is starting to lose it. Will it let it slip from Team NV? This is Maru.
A reversal at this point would be truly monumental, especially when we look at this in the context of what this Terran player did to Rogue yesterday. But a different beast, a different creature. Some say he's just built different. In the bottom left, it is Reynor.
Still all business here from Reynor. 3 in a row, man. What an incredible moment for Reynor if he manages to do this. That last game, though, for Maru, I gotta say, probably one of the most unfortunate games in his career. just going accidentally making 3 starports. You meant to go Fusion Core. Just getting kind of build order bopped a little bit as well. Just kind of sucks, especially when you're in a moment like this with so much riding on the line.
Yeah, it happens though. It's something that you do always risk when you skip that SCV count as Terran. You add a few extra layers of risk with a low ground wall off, and you're kind of just asking for it. So Maru getting a little bit too cheeky for his own good, and hoping his injury is holding up well. As you could see him there actually just kind of squeezing his shoulder a little bit in the camera shot. Obviously, Maru recently has had some surgeries and some physio and recovery and stuff after some big wrist and shoulder injuries, some nerve tendonitis sort of stuff going on. But he's showed, there was a lot of doubters at the start of the tournament. We haven't really talked about it since then because he keeps just destroying everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seemed like everything was good. Every now and then he would like sort of hold his shoulder and rotate it a little bit, maybe just trying to get a little bit of blood flow happening there, of course. But it's just it's one of those things that doesn't really go away if you keep doing the thing that exacerbates it. You know what I mean? Like you keep playing really high momentum, high micro Bioterran. We know that Bjorn has troubles with his wrists. Maru has trouble with his shoulder. You really got to be careful with that kind of thing, even at a younger age. These guys are in their 20s. But It doesn't get easier, so you got to really look after yourself. I'm not saying that they can't keep playing at that level. You just got to find a way to keep at that level while also not having potential like posture issues or overextending the arm or something like that. Yeah, good doctors in Korea. I'm sure you'll be fine.
Indeed, lots of experience with people overgaming as well.
Yeah,
definitely a lot of experience on that. So Reynor there was singing for a little bit. He must have hit the chorus of his favorite song. So we did see a little bit more of that animated movement there in the camera as takes a third base in the triangle formation, the EU setup. Of course, no doubt going to look for the fourth right above that as well and look to take down the rocks and control the left side of the map. Terrans normally will expand right below their main with their third base, and no quick third command center just yet. Maru is going to open up with the 6 Marines and a Widow Mine drop into the main, and he's going to quickly swap the factory and the barracks over, and he's going to try and drive 5 Hellions into the natural just after that drop hits. We saw this find massive damage against Rogue. Let's see if Reynor's prepared for it.
Yeah, the very quick bio mine drop here from Maru. All right, well, at the moment, Reynor not with a ton of information. This is also one of the few games where I don't think he got Overlord speed, if I'm not mistaken. So cutting that corner here for, I think, the first time in the series. He keeps getting that Overlord speed in the other 4 games.
Indeed. I actually think you're really well set up to defend this without Overlord speed, as long as you say, hey, well, I've got some more minerals and gas. Let's build a few more lings, build a few more queens. And does he see it?
Oh, man. Maru threads the needle there.
He's not going to get warning of that until it's basically coming into his main base. He's going to have to send most of his queens back to the front to defend the Hellions. Zergling's in the main. Arguably, you kind of want to do it the other way, but he's not going to have early enough warning to get his queens into the main in time.
All right, well, in comes that medevac. Obviously, Reynor's Overlord sees it. He's going to have to scramble his defenses. The Lings were going towards the natural there. The Queens are on front door duty with these Hellions. And here comes the drop with the Marines. Maru not finding anything in the main base just yet. The Widowmine actually hits the Queen. She takes one for the team there. Natural now under fire, but no more Widowmines here for Maru. It's just Marines. As long as those Lings are ready for the drop Marines, they're not going to find any purchase.
And the Overlords are all really conservatively placed here by Reynor, so this is not going to be able to pick up any Overlords. In fact, he's going to lose that medevac maybe. Transfuse goes down on the Queen. Queen keeps targeting the medevac. Oh, it gets very low. Doesn't really find anything though, and once again, after the early dust settles, it feels like Reynor is so consistently just solid through these early stages. Maru is not able to find any ground in the opening.
I mean, he at least didn't lose the medevac. That would have been pretty catastrophic to start things off there for Maru. But the Widowmine didn't find a whole lot, and just Reynor every single game, except for game 4, of course, just an incredible early game defense.
Yeah, Reynor is just unlike any other Zerg in the build-up stage. Like his ability to grow and then also to multitask. If you get into one of those scrappy games, it's kind of a crime that we haven't got to see it. This series where the long games have been very slow long games, like Maru's never really taken the fight to him because he realizes what Reynor's strong suit is. You want to drop 4 bases at once, split push 2 bases at once at the same time? Reynor will smile and deal with that. He'll split his army into 6 different groups, pull his drones away from Widow Mines. Like, his ability to do that is the best in the world, and that's why Maru is very consciously avoiding that so far in this series, but it didn't work out going to late game on Romanticide. He might be a little afraid to try that strategy again.
Rock's going to get nibbled down by these Lings as the Queens move out to spread creep and also hold that front line. He's got to actually, the Queens and the Overseer well placed here in the natural for those Banshees. And they're going to take some shots here immediately. Good start again to the defense of Reynor. Next phase of Maru not finding a whole lot of ground just yet. Of course, the Marines about to have stim pack here. It's just 7 seconds from done.
Good defense so far. Really, Maru, he's got Hellions, Banshees, and a drop. But all he manages to find is a few creep tumors, and for the most part, he has been deflected with ease. Reynor is almost at 80 workers versus Maru's 52. Maru floating a 3rd command center out, still building SCVs. He'd like to play a longer game, but Reynor is already miles ahead. This opening has found nothing.
Yeah, this is looking very comfortable here for the Italian Zerg. Spire going down as the armory comes down for Maru as well. I mean, a small nitpick, it's a tiny little bit late. He's going to have to wait a little bit for 2-2. But as we can see, just not a whole lot of damage done on the Zerg side of the map here. Reynor getting the spores up on the outside as well, just in case the Banshees try and find another angle, or even if, you know, they're going to help out the dropship at the edge of the map. There's not as much dead space room on Pillars of Gold for those medevacs to chill in as for the first two maps. So that's a plus side for Reynor. Not enough Marines to take that fight, that's for damn sure, so Maru evacuates.
He's so quick at clearing Maru up and respreading the creep. Feels like Maru's scans aren't really even putting a dent in the creep. They're barely slowing it down. Hellions and tank work around the left. Okay, finally, we're going to get a push going. There are some nice angles on that far left of the map. Reynor, though, is already splitting up. He's looking to hit that third base. That third base does not have a lot of defenses on it. Maru's mineral line has got to watch out. He's got 2 Banshees, and that's about it.
2 Banshees aren't going to be too effective here against the giant swarm of Ling Bane. He is trying to punch back here, though. That 9 o'clock base in his sights with the tank, with the bio. Reynor actually pulling everything back to be on the defense, realizing he doesn't have enough at home, or potentially going to set up a flank here from both sides. In comes some Banelings, but they're streaming in single file. They bust through the Hellbats. The bio, though, still pretty healthy. The tank's getting some target fire on the cluster of Banes. Good target fire from Maru. The Banelings die, and that hatchery is still in trouble.
Big misengage from Reynor. His flank was not in position. He's going to go in again, but once again, mistiming the flank. The Lings and the Banes all coming in apart from each other. The Banelings getting focused down. Maru massively outnumbered. Only barely is Reynor able to get rid of the tanks. This was an incredible engagement from Maru.
And an incredibly inefficient fight there for Reynor. His hatchery taking a lot of hit points. Looks like the hatchery at the south side also taking some shots there from potentially the Banshees of Maru, being annoying as he loads up more of those medevacs with tanks to continue to push that hatchery on the far left of the map.
Oh, he's being so active. Those Banshees just surviving for so long, and Ling Bane going to try and ambush him, but he doesn't have enough units here. Reynor has not really respread his creep on that left side of the map, and I cannot believe this. Maru here in Game 5 of this series. It felt like it started so bad. Reynor's got an insane worker count, but if he loses this 5th base in the top left, which I think he will, well, a lot of those workers aren't really able to mine. So he's got a new base down to the bottom right, but the Banshees continue to be annoying down there. Finally, they're going to fall.
They are going to fall. It feels like Reynor, I mean, especially with his hatchery dying, just doesn't have the lava here. Like, does Maru need to go home? He's actually got such a big army. And even though there is a similar count here for the Zerg, how's he going to reinforce this front line with the Lings if they go down to the Marines? Oh, Maru getting outswarmed there. That's a lot more Banelings than I expected there from Reynor. Never you mind that Ling Bane force, very healthy. In fact, Reynor feeling like it's healthy enough to hit the Terran back.
Oh, a lot of his army's out of position right now. Maybe Reynor could catch him in a bit of disarray. Reynor has equal army supply. They're both on 1-1 right now, and there's no Widow Mines. That's what makes this so dangerous for Maru. It's almost all on the bio and just a couple of siege tanks to hang on for the moment. He's got a 4th command center on the way behind this. It's getting up, turning into a planetary. His 2nd factory is almost finished. He's swapping into Thors. I'm sure we'll see a reactor on the other factory and Widow Mines added in. That's going to allow him to go toe-to-toe with the mutilating Bane. But hey, I talked about Reynor taking some nasty engagements there, you know, losing ground. The reason I was in such disbelief is because Reynor had so many units, and it was a bit of a mistake on his part, but he doesn't take critical damage. Losing a hatch is not the end of the world. Losing a few Zergling Baneling is not. He's still on 98 drones and maxed out here.
God.
And he's got great creep through the middle of the map. Like, Reynor has a ton of stuff.
It just doesn't make sense how healthy he looks right now after losing that hatchery and also losing a lot of his army really inefficiently there. But I guess when you have 90 drones, you got plenty more bank to make where that came from. All the Marines threatening that bottom right hatchery in the middle of the map. Maru again with the hot pickup does survive, and he does kill that hatchery in the bottom right. The Marines survive and pull back. Not too many Banelings either, so he's going to turn and fire and target fire down 2 Mutalisks. Nice target fire there from Maru.
Yeah, really well done there. Punish and gets another muta. The mutas are finally going to get on top, but that boost should be ready. Another drop comes in on the left. How is Maru active on this map? There's mutas and Massling Bane, and yet Maru is finding damage. I mean, Maru right now is doing very dangerous, very potentially ill-advisable moves. And Reynor, it's undefended. Go for it. And he does turn around. He goes for it, but it gives him a moment. And Maru uses that moment well, pulls the SCVs to safety.
And it looked like if Reynor really pounced immediately there and was super decisive, we've got a lot more SCVs in that third, but as it stands, he does still find a little bit of damage, forces a lift, denies a little bit more mining, even morphing a lot more Banes here, so he can come in for another wave, but it looks like Maru's army is in position now. Still not a ton of Widow Mines, although they are getting made 3x3 at the moment with that reactive factory in the tech lab one. Oh no, Maru not looking at the bio for a while there. The Banelings actually get a really good connection.
Very nicely done there by Reynor. 8 SCVs and a bunch of bio. He's got to keep splitting up though, because you can see Reynor's map control's kind of lacking. He's lost his creep on the edges of the map. It's not spreading as well in the middle. You can tell Maru really got under his skin with those last few drops. And Reynor is running his army around kind of one directionally right now. He doesn't have any units split on the sides. So that means it's hard for him to defend drops, but more importantly, he's only attacking from one angle.
He's coming in with a lot of Ling Bane. The Mines get a shot off there, but they don't actually get a critical connection on the Lings and the Banes. The Banes once again going for the SCV line. The Mutas assisting on the north side as well. Maru with a big concave of bio though, and with the Thor surviving, he is still fine, but does take another blow to his SCV line.
Indeed, 10 more workers going down. Maru microing very well everything except for running the command center, or the SCVs away, sorry. And now Reynor's up to Hive. 3-3 Adrenal Glands on the way. Happy to stay on Ling Bane for a while, but I'd love to see an Ultra Cavern come in. Reynor, of course, low on gas after having a few of his bases sniped. He's got plenty of minerals, but his gas is running behind. Those Banelings are not cheap. But Reynor, his creep is now everywhere. He's splitting his army up on two sides. He's skirmishing right now. And he pulls back on the right, goes forward on the left. Maru's defense is looking pretty good. Maru looks like he might be able to just survive this middle stage, get that 5th base up.
And this time it looks like Maru is actually going to push out a little bit. It might just be for creep spread clearing, but at the moment, is he feeling the pressure from Reynor at the moment? Does he feel like he needs to get out there and do something, or is he going to just slow the game down again and just get up to the late stages, get that Ghost Academy and slow it way down? Oh, Reynor coming in with another wave of Banelings. Lots of Banelings here. The Widow Mines on the left side might be able to help out as the Banelings get close to that third. Actually looked like an all right hold there from Maru, but in come more Banes. The Mutas on the top left actually getting shepherded by those Marines as well. And while Maru loses some more SCVs here, oh, I was going to say it looked like he held pretty well, but that last Baneling on those hurt SCVs.
You're absolutely right, Maynard. I am with you there. That was a Ragnarok of Banelings that Reynor just sent in. It's where you send about 80 and kill 2 Marauders, but the follow-up does get a bit. The Mutas find a little bit on the left and going into the natural as well. I really love that Reynor's Mutas are what seems to continually find damage. He's going into the Ultra Tech behind it. His Queens are a little far out on the map, but this might be bait as the Lings come forward.
They do indeed. Ling's not too afraid of Marauder and Thor, so they do take a good fight and force the lift up there from Maru. 20 SCVs have died. Muta's getting a little bit too close to that anti-air, though. Oh, man.
Oh,
no.
Oh, ow. I don't know if they just got F2'd or what, but those Mutas definitely met a nasty end. The Planetary does go down, Maynard. 7 workers with it. Reynor still has money to work with, or does he? Maru actually strikes across the map with a counter, takes a hatchery out.
He does indeed, and while Reynor has a huge supply lead, it is all drones pig. It is not an army, and there is Terran army in his face and in his base right now. 2 hatcheries going down within 10 seconds of each other, and it looks like even units on the right side. Reynor needs to split his army perfectly here. Not that many Banelings in the force, a lot of Marauders and Thors as well. Maru just lifts up, and he's going to go for the main. Oh no, Reynor falling apart at the seams. Another exposed hatchery with 26 drones on it. The Banelings too late to save it.
Oh my lord, he's knocked Reynor back to 4 bases, 3 of which are very low on resources, and Reynor's still fighting with mostly Ling Bane. Remember, he lost all of his Mutas. There was the same thing that caused him problems on Romanticide. He's got to rebuild his anti-air. If you don't have a way to punish Maru, he will drop you for days. And right now, Reynor only has ground fighting units. He's under so much pressure, he's focusing on the Ling Bane Ultra, but this means at any time he's under threat. Maru picks up, moves to a new location. Reynor, he does manage to hold on for a moment here. He's still got that 5th base up on the right that he's rebuilding, but his main still in trouble. Maru is buying himself so much time with this. He's keeping Reynor off these 2 bases on the left. He gets another re-snipe on the hatchery. If Reynor doesn't build anti-air soon, he might be in trouble, Maynard.
He's going to have to rely very heavily on these Ultras to take good fights, with the Marauder count of Maru is not too bad here on the defense. He's going to pull back, let the Mines take some shots off on those giant units, and with the Marauders chasing, the Ultras have to leave with a tail between their legs. 7 SCVs do die, but Maru does not care. He's still got a lot more units out on the map. Going to go for a denial on the hatchery again. In fact, a kill on that hatchery. Turns and fights the Ultras. The Ultras actually winning the fight there against the Marauders. The Liberators a little bit too far forward. Looks like the Mines might finish off an Ultra here on the back end, though.
This is the sort of game which Reynor made a name for himself in. Scrappy, down and dirty fights in multiple places. But the fact that that base got sniped 3-4 times in a row, the fact that he hasn't reestablished the left side of the map, he is simply behind on the mining right now. He has lost far too many hatcheries this game. This is big problems for Reynor. Maru's not going to stop pushing.
And it looks like Reynor just wants to get in his face and try that on for size. Can he get it done? On the north side, that base is in big trouble, but on the south side here, the hatchery also in trouble. Maru gonna do more hatchery damage. Looking for that 9th hatchery kill. The planetary goes down, the SCVs go down. Reynor and Maru are just tearing each other apart from within.
But Maru's still got mules dropping on the right side. Reynor needs more than this. He's looking for it. He's hungry. He sees just a small pack of Marines and tanks. He goes in. I love the way he pulls the Lings back, lets the Ultras deal with the big work there. But the rally on the natural will hold on. Reynor has to pull back for now. He's got no hatcheries. He's only got his third base mining. And I'll tell you, 17, 18 minutes in the game, the third base is barely mining. Reynor is trying to micro his heart out, but if he doesn't start hatcheries right now, then he's screwed. He's got to rebuild those hatcheries, Maynard.
I don't know how he does it, Pig. He doesn't have the money. Maru is in charge here. The mutas have come back just like he wanted, but there is not enough Zerg. I think there's too much Terran. I think Maru's got it here. He's going to bring in the reinforcements. Oh no! A big hit on those mutas. Big hit on those mutas, but the Ultras coming in.
This is still so close. He's going to get rid of this base of Maru. Reynor, whoa, was this the decisive move he needed? He gets rid of that base as well. Wait. He's killing all of Maru's mining right now. Was that actually the move he needed, Reynor? Maynard, this is crazy. What the hell? Is Reynor actually done it with that?
I mean, he's still in it. This definitely is not over. There is a big army lead for Maru, though. If he gets all of his forces together, he should be able to take a fight against this very bruised Ultra army with not that much Ling Bane.
Oh, this is just, he needs time. Reynor needs time. He's got a base on the left, a base on the right going up. I think the base on the right is definitely going to get taken out. He's building infestors right now. Those are the sort of game-changing unit that could do it, but he, once again, needs time. They're going to pop with only 50 energy. He doesn't have pathogen glands. If he could get a few big fungals combined with ultras, that is the sort of comeback composition that can win you this game. He's going to try and keep Maru busy with the Ling run buys. That's a good move, but Maru is going to snipe one of his bases as well.
These Lings getting a ton more SCV damage. Well played there by Reynor. Maru's army keeps getting bigger here. He manages to hit those production cycles and a big Bioforce. If he joins in everything together, Maru has a potential death bush here. So Reynor is going to use what he has. What has he got? He's got an infestation pit. He's going to try infestors here. Spellcasters are a way for Reynor potentially to take a good enough fight against the Bio. There are no ghosts. There are no EMPs. And Fungal with Ultras and Banes can be really deadly to an army like Maru's.
If we could see the income graph, I'd love to see that. The mutas come in again, looking for just a few SCVs. Every single worker counts at this point. And you can see that Reynor's taking the lead again here. And you know what? Even with mules, Reynor has got a hatchery fully mining on the left. He's got another 2 hatcheries building. Every second that goes by is good for Reynor. I cannot believe it, dude. Honestly, I thought the correct move. I can see the whole map. I can see the resources. I thought it was to sit back. I thought he was mad for going for that attack. Reynor apparently has better killer instincts than even those who can see the entire map. Like, he just went for the throat, took out all of Maru's mining, and he did it barely. He only just had enough mutas to kill the Liberators. If even one Liberator was left, his Ultras were going to go down. That was sick play by Reynor.
Hey man, that's why he's got the keyboard and mouse and we've got microphones. As Maru's force there gets to the outside, clearing up a bit more creep on the way through. Obviously, he wants more hatcheries here. He wants to fight small parts of Reynor's army so he can pick off more Ultras, get more of the Lings and the Banes taken out of it. Widowmine actually gets a shot off there as well. Drones going to the bottom right. Reynor needs every single mining base here, as does Maru. Either player taking another hit to their economy, maybe lights out for either of them.
I mean, it's just pure bio mine here. Can that work? Yes, but the infestors are the big game changer. The fact that Reynor still got very good creep spread is looking good for him. Maru. Oh, Widow Mines. Oh, lots of
Widow Mines. And a turret as well. The Muta's not really fighting a whole lot. Oh, this hatchery, 20 drones at it. In come the Lings to pick off the Bio army, but the hatchery does die. Maru lifts up what he can to save what he can. Oh, it's all about efficiency here. Oh, he's trying to hit the bottom right as well, but here are the Ultras and here are the infestors. Big fungals from Reynor.
Wow, that was monstrous. That's the first time he shows the infestors. He's not going to get another chance. Maru was not expecting these infestors. A lot of the medevacs went down. 4 of them still very wounded there. They're going to be easy pickings in a future fight.
Lings and Banes coming in the left side. Not that many mines anymore. And with a lot of Ling Bane and not any splash damage, they can definitely just roll through. This is an orbital, by the way, not a planetary, so it doesn't have fighting strength against this army of Reynor. The Bane is coming in. Really high energy Infestors coming in as well to drop those fungals. The split from Maru, though. A lot of them are all to survive. The Banelings are gone. And the Infestors getting picked off as well. But does Reynor have enough to close this out?
Reynor's still got the base mining in the bottom right. He'd rebuilt his fourth, and that's mining as well. And he has once again done good damage to Maru. He's got just too much mining going. Reynor here.
Oh my
it
God.
felt like this game was going to slip out of his grasp. It's been so back and forth. But now we can say clearly Reynor is up in army. 17 supply. You've been talking about army supply. He was ahead in economy, behind in army all game. Well, now he's got double the workers and he's up in army supply. His units lost tab looking way better than those earlier maps in this series, and Maru is a bit desperate. He's got to do something to slow this mining down. A Widow Mine, not a bad move.
8 drones going down, definitely better than nothing, but can he actually stop the Zerg force anymore? Widowmine's getting some shots off on the Ultras there, trying to keep the Mutas and the Infestors alive. Reynor trying to keep everything alive that he can. Forces a lift up here at that orbital, though. Can't save that. Huge fungal on the Bioarmy, a massive fungal there. The Ultras coming in for the cleanup. A lot of them will die, but there's not a whole lot of Marines. The Mutas coming in also to assist. Widowmine's underneath the force, though. Oh no, Reynor losing a lot of that front line.
Ooh, the Lings, though. The Lings cracking into the natural at the same time. Maru's on his last legs. Is he taking efficient, valiant defensive fights? Yes. Is it enough, though? I don't know. The Mutas go in. They get one of those Widow Mines. He wants to get those Liberators as well. The Lings still threatening. Ooh. This is an orbital. They're all orbitals. He knows that if there's no units, he can tear those worker lines apart. Reynor is going for the throat.
And he's bringing in the Lings now. These Lings have been doing damage, they've been biding their time, but now they are just biding Terran units. They're ripping them to shreds here at this base. The rest of the SCVs of Maru going down as well. Maru taps out. Reynor, oh my God, he did it. The 3 games in a row against one of the greatest Terrans, potentially the greatest Terran alive. He did it here, and he is going to the